lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
From Sonoma Raceway, the Stacy Strong SNN Cup Series is ready for another round of road racing, and this time we crank up the heat in California's wine country. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sonoma, California. We have a new points leader in the form of Matt DeCiani as he dethroned the pride of Kalamazoo, Michigan, Sean Rogers, after DeCiani added another top 5 to his 2024 resume, while Rogers finished in 6th. We're preparing to see who can be the road course whisperer tonight when the checkered flag flies over Napa Valley. And this kind of racing takes a lot of patience and discipline, unlike any other on our circuit. I'm Dave Regal, soon to be joined alongside by my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Metler, here in the Tony Trapassi Memorial Broadcast booth, and we're thrilled to be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, glad to have all of you in with us tonight, as it looks like Matt is just sliding in sideways, dirt tracking his way here into the broadcast booth. And I'll tell you what, if there's anybody else that I want to spend 110 laps with at a place like this, it's definitely Matt Metler. Hey, Matt, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Dave, as you mentioned, sliding in full e-brake, and I got the Goodyears, the treaded versions, eating, chucking up all the dirt as I barely got the thing wound up before I got in the door. Just came in from the monsoon here in Florida, so that's the reason for my delay. But nonetheless, we're up here in the booth. You know, Dave, you touched on it. We have a new points leader tonight, Matt DiCiani. You know, a lot of things changed last week with, the way that the race ended up. And the biggest curveball or wild card tonight here in Sonoma, I got 2 wine glasses ready. I brought another 2 along for you. I got some chicken cock whiskey in my back pocket. I'm fired up and ready to rock and roll. I don't know about you.
Yeah, you know what? Out of all of the road courses that we go to, this is the one that I do get excited to go to. It's where I, at least as a driver, had the most success. And listen, go ahead and put those 2 wine glasses on the ground for me and just crack open that bottle of chicken cock as I am ready to fill my liver with some whiskey. Matt DiCiani, as I had mentioned, our new points leader, he and Sean Rogers swapped positions. Patrick Gitter jumped up 2 positions into 4th last week. Chris Davis up into 6th position now. Derek Heitman with a total of 436 points sitting here in 7th position. I'm sorry, 396. You'll have to excuse me for just a moment. My goodness, just about swallowed half a mouthful of water all at once. But DiCiani here atop the pile, this is an interesting story because we're starting to see some of these positions swap around. Now, Ryan Fisher climbed up 10 spots. He now runs in 55th. But there are a lot of drivers who are no longer active in this league as we've now hit, week 16. And the interesting thing about that, Matt, is that some of these drivers, yourself included, now kind of out of the running. So for some of the people that are going to be hitting all of these races the rest of the way, this is an open door to start making some hay.
I mean, let's just be honest, Dave. I was never in it from the beginning. I couldn't keep the
as it looks like I just lost Matt about mid-segment of his sentence. He was about to say that he was never really in it to win it, that's for sure. He was definitely out here to lay some good, strong laps down, and he did for a long time before coming back up here to the broadcast booth where he so rightly belongs. Of course, now that he seems to have fallen out of the broadcast booth, let's take a quick peek at the team points. This is another thing to keep in mind. Now, there's a lot of free agents, and at one point in our season, we had more free agents on the quote-unquote free agent team than anywhere else. And now many of them have been picked up, including the TCSB E10 Esports Corral, and, of course, Joe Gibbs Racing, who are now amassing points at a crazy rate. I mean, still almost 400 points between TCSB E10 Esports and JGR. So things starting to get a little dicey there in the team standings. That, of course, matters for bragging rights at the end of the season. But the important thing, of course, is each of these drivers, getting their winnings at the end of the season. And we're just barely about halfway. We wanted to come on just a little bit later than usual tonight so that qualifying could get wrapped up, or at least a little bit better wrapped up, as we take a look here at Kavaja Holt in the 00. He finishes his qualifying effort, goes 11th fastest. Now, Chris Custer still has yet to go out, and there's not enough time for anybody to finish up those qualifying efforts. So we're going to get a chance right now, or at least in the next few moments here, to see if we can get a hold of Matt DiCiani, assuming that he's here somewhere in the chat. And, of course, he is not tonight. We also have the noted absence here. Let's see. And Matt is getting his internet back rocking and rolling. So we're going to get a hold of Sean Rogers here out of the CSS team. Hey, Sean, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys. How you doing?
Hey, man, listen, I mean, rough break last week. You lose that first position on the point standings, but you still have, P2 here under your belt. What's going to be the strategy at a place like this, which is, of course, not on anybody's fun meter radar?
You pretty much just said it. It's not going to be a fun race. It's going to be grueling. but just try to keep it in the top 10. I don't have the pace that some of these guys do. I've been trying. I just can't quite get it there. So just gonna run my race, hope to get a top 10, and yeah, just keep piling up points.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're just 4 points outside of the lead. You've got Nolan Hodgson 11 behind you. So all of a sudden it went from, nice and easy, Sean Rogers, he's got control of the point standings, to holy crap, look at this mess up here in the top 3. I mean, the better that you guys get, though, the further away that you're driving from Patrick Gitter, who's now trailing by about, 74 points behind you. What do you do throughout a season to keep your cool, because at a place like this, you can get frustrated. You can think that you're hitting your marks, and all of a sudden, 1/4 of an inch toward the edge of the raceway, and all of a sudden, you've got a problem.
Yeah, you definitely have to stay sharp. This is gonna be a long race, but I mean, throughout the whole season, you just gotta keep your eyes on the prize. It's easy to get frustrated. It happens to everyone. But I gotta focus on making the playoffs. I don't quite have a win yet. I don't expect, unless something really crazy happens. That happened tonight. So, like I said earlier, it's just about getting the stage points where you can, making sure you're around the front to get as many points as possible, and just get the hell out of here.
All right, man. Well, listen, I know Amanda Price will be in the live chat cheering you on tonight, so I'm sure you'll get some camera time. We appreciate your time, and good luck tonight as we get ready to see you roll off.
All right, sounds good. Enjoy the race.
And we always do here on Sim Racing Media. We have a great time with all of you in the YouTube.com live chat, as I just mentioned. We're always looking forward to those who check in with us every week, including Amanda Price, who's always cheering on Sean Rogers in the 44. Nobody here in the live chat just yet, so make sure that you get in here. Let us know who you're pulling for, what you want to see tonight on the screen, and basically let us know what your thoughts are of road course racing. Me personally, as a driver and a spectator, not always my favorite place to be. But, a lot of this racetrack has some qualities of a country road. You come up and out of the front stretch here, go up into a hill. You climb that hill, and all of a sudden you're going down, a different grade. It's just a really interesting way to get around a racetrack, that's for sure. As let's see if we can ride along real quick here with Michael Witt on the nose of his car. Now we can hear Michael Witt as we've got about 2 minutes left, so this should be just about perfect. But Michael Witt rolls here uphill. Now, the whole time, again, this is a country road, and he's just kind of got to drive this thing as if he's, on his way to his girlfriend's house to drop off some flowers. Now he comes down here, and all of a sudden, you've got to get down into all but first gear to roll out of here. Next little straightaway here, again, he's going to have to get on the binders hard, and this is kind of like a carousel coming through here. And we're going to see that many, many times tonight as he heads on down toward the S's. Now, the S's to me, and we can see Witt in the 88 here. Now, the S's to me here are probably the easiest portion of the racetrack to get through. We're going to see him come right from that side of the racetrack. And basically, this is just kind of serpentining your way through that segment of the racetrack as he comes down into the hairpin. This is going to be a real hard change through here as we see him come up and out of here and back toward the start-finish line. Final turn ahead of him, and all of a sudden he is back to square number one.
Thanks for breaking down a lap around this beautiful facility out here in the Sonoma Valley, Dave. A couple key points I want to make. That uphill transition as you come across the start-finish line, as a driver, you feel confident. The car's loaded up. You got a lot of grip. The first challenge we're watching Michael Witt as he comes through this section here, this blinding corner. Then you come down this hill right here. The car is going to unload. It's going to get really light. This is an easy place to get in trouble right here. Then you're hard back on the accelerator. You're still going downhill, so you got to be conscientious of that as you drop down to first gear, as you mentioned right here. Then you hit these S-turns right here. But this is where this track can butt you. Remember, this is the old asphalt, not the new stuff. Right here, it can kind of get a little, the back end can have the tendency to step out on you, especially in the Xfinity car or the truck. I found that out earlier this week. But as these tires wear on this next-gen car, that particular portion of the racetrack can become an issue. There's plenty of areas this place can come up and butt you if you're not paying attention. I look forward to a full-fledged, high-octane affair here tonight in primetime, buddy.
Yes, sir, and of course, we're about to see the drivers hop on into their race cars. We're going to have just a little bit of time here, almost a full lap, to go through our starting lineup. But, you know, a name that we don't get to see atop the pile very often, Andrew Dyson from Dirty South Racing. He's going to be here on the pole position. He's going to be joined in the front row by Neil Pearson. Some of the other drivers, you know, Sean Rogers, he talked about it a moment ago. He just wants to survive and finish in the top 10. And there he is starting in 9th position. Bennett Allen. Now, here's a driver, and I feel like all of a sudden I'm Chris Collinsworth. Now, here's a guy. But, you know, where Bennett Allen and Kavaja Holt both are very good, very patient drivers on the road course. Sometimes we see Bennett Allen get the chrome horn out on those intermediate tracks, but this is the kind of place where somebody like him somehow shines, and it's crazy to watch him work. But 35 drivers with Alexander Gangler starting shotgun on the field alongside of Logan Giesbrecht, and I didn't think that I'd be rolling that kind of language out tonight, but 35 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight. Ron Fitting and Ken Ron going to be starting from the rear of the field on pit road. Not sure why, but there they are. As, of course, we don't have cautions on a road course. So, Andrew Dyson going to roll off in pole position. Neil Pearson going to start on row number 1 along with him. Matt Long and Ryan Rose, as everybody's shuffling around on my screen, going to be in row 2. With Michael Caffrey and Nolan Hodgson in row 3. Tanner Marty and Anthony Savignano in row number 4, while Bennett Allen and Michael Witt round out your starting top 10. Do you have timing and scoring up yet, or do you want me to keep going, Matt? I'm going to take that as keep going. Paul Hill and Chad Sanner in row number 6 with Eric Papineau and Sean Rogers back here in row 7. Keith Long and Kavaja Holt in row 8 with Cody McCorkle and Ryan Samuelson in row number 9. Rafael Rodriguez and Bobby Anderson in row 10. Mitchell Smith and Mark Johnson starting 21st and 22nd. Andrew Deemer and Richard Pruitt in row 12, with row 13 going to be the home of Diego Rodriguez and Rich Jett. John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania starts in 27th position alongside of Chris Davis, with Timothy Cook, Steve Herring, Chris Custer, Alexander Gangler, and the aforementioned Logan Giesbrecht from Rockwood, Ontario, going to be starting the number 84 back in 32nd position. So 33 drivers going to take the green flag when we get there. Matt, I've been waiting all week to go road racing, and here we are.
That's right. All of these drivers, 35 of the iRacing's best on the sim behind that Porsche, racked and stacked, ready to get these glorious V8s roaring here in prime time tonight. Andrew Dyson in the 40. Haven't seen him a lot this year. He's on the pole. Neil Pearson alongside him. Who is it going to be up the hill into turn 1? We're about to find out.
And the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, crack open a bottle of Pinot. Race fans, it's showtime!
Green flag in the air, hard on the gas to the floorboards. Here we go, climbing the hill for the first time. And it looks like Andrew Dyson's going to fall back in line as Neil Pearson's going to lead the charge. But he is hard on his heels as it's 2 by 2 behind him. Matty Long wasting no time as he's already on the attack right now as he got back 3rd place position. It was under siege though, but he is, wow, Dave, he has basically gapped that 4th place car of Ryan Rose as it was hot and heavy through the first 2 turns.
Yeah, there were already some problems getting, literally as the race was starting. We'll take a look at those momentarily as the cars are getting ready to hit the S's here. Just as the green flag was getting ready to fly, Eric Papineau, Bennett Allen, and Michael Witt all having shown up as crashed. We'll have to find out what happened with those drivers, because that's something that obviously at the very beginning of a race, that can just make you sick as a driver, as these drivers now get themselves out of the S's and now heading down toward the all-encompassing hairpin turn. Everybody pretty much behaving themselves with the exception of those 3 drivers that got wrapped up. We're going to take a look back at that replay in just a moment as we complete lap number 1 here. Let's go to Bennett Allen and see what happened.
We go back to the SRM instant replay here. You see Bennett Allen in the 15 All is well with the world right there. Oh, the 29 just lost the race car. David just cooked sideways, and of course that's going to cause a huge checkup. The good news is we hardly had any speed rolling in these race cars, and other than a Code Brown instant before the start of the green or the drop of the green flag, it looks like everyone is well and on their way.
Tanner Marty here, and we're just going back here to the SRM Instant Replay again. Tanner Marty trying to clear off some debris from those tires as they came into the hairpin, got himself back under control, but something just went wrong, and he snapped right at literally the worst possible place you possibly could.
Sometimes luck is not on your side, and I agree. That's the worst place for that to happen, and we've had a kerfuffle before the drop of the green flag, but like I said previously, all is fine with the world now as Neil Pearson leads Matty Long just over 0.6 of a second. As you can see the margin there. Right now, look at that track temperature, Dave, 113 degrees. That is a little spicy. That's going to make this race car a little loose. You're going to have to be patient on the throttle and with those brakes, especially early, as it takes these hockey pucks, as Tony Trapasso would like to say, to come up to temperature.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at a plate, wow, all but dirt track, and it is Neil Pearson, the 58. He obviously came up with a full head of steam. And what Tony was talking about, and he and I had a long discussion about it one time, when he brought up the hockey puck reference, it's because hockey pucks are made out of what's called vulcanized rubber. It's rubber that's melted and compressed, and that's how you vulcanize it. And at a place like this, you do have a very hard compound tire, which allows you to make those right and left turns compared to the usual soft compound that oval racing allows for. And he called it a hockey puck, and I had to look it up and figured out what it was. And Tony was dead right.
You know who else is trying to be dead right? Matty Long, as he was peeking to the inside of Pearson, but Pearson was ready for it. He shut the door, took away the line, and Pearson continues to carry the torch as we get ready now to write off lap number 3 in the history books. On to lap 4. Is really no change at the front. Neil Pearson is your current leader. Matty Long runs second. Andrew Dyson, who has been sliced early here, is in that third place position. Ryan Rose and Nolan Hodson round out the top 5 as they climb the hill, Dave.
Yeah, Matt Long riding along with him just behind Neil Pearson. I mean, Matt out of Atlanta, Georgia, now looks, basically he realizes that getting around Pearson is going to be just this side of impossible. So he's going to be matching him just about step for step. He does peek to the inside here at that first little hairpin turn. Can't do it as we come into the S's, and, you know, we talked about this earlier. Watch these cars bounce through here. This is something that we won't see as much of tomorrow night because that solid axle in the Xfinity Series is not near as forgiving as the independent suspension that the next-gen cars have here at the Cup level. So as Matt Long tries to get his way up here to the rear of Neil Pearson, it looks like Pearson going to be able to start gapping him. Now, Long with a little bit wider of an entry here to the hairpin, getting back toward the front stretch, but still not able to take all of that momentum here to the rear of Pearson.
Yeah, I mean, Pearson is just so good on corner exit, and to your point, Long was able basically to close back up on the bumper of that dark horse. Now as we move coverage back to that 5th place position, Ryan Rose in the 85 going up against no one other than Nolan Hodson, who seems to, he has just been missed the action, man. As of recent weeks, it seems like every time we're covering, you know, the hot and heavy action in the field, in the trenches, the warfare out there on the racetrack, Nolan Hodson has been in it, and you just seen a little bit of it right there as he now takes over P number 4, move Ryan Rose back one spot to 5th.
Yeah, the Lamar's Iowa driver here in his Ford has had a great season so far. We've got a lot of time here to talk about some of these drivers individually tonight, as of course road course racing, not the same as oval racing where we're going to be having cautions. But Nolan Hodgson, I had mentioned before, he's just 15 points outside of our points lead, as currently he's running up here in 4th position. He's actually ahead of the other drivers in the top 3 where he sits. So he's got a good night here, especially with DeCiani out of commission for the evening, you know, to get himself a little bit of track position, so to speak, in points. I mean, he's got 5 top 10s on the year, 12 top 10s, and this young man is not done yet as he drives this number 12 for 4 Wide Motorsports.
No, he's certainly not done yet, and he's having a great drive here early. And you know, Dave, you mentioned we're going to be able to talk, or have extended coverage, tonight as we're on a road course, as we see now Paul Hill in that 6 machine starting to put some pressure on the 85 of Ryan Rose. Perhaps his car is better geared towards the long run, as it seems like, inside the top 10, he's probably seems to be struggling the most right now as we go on board. Jacksonville, Florida native, just up the road from me. Well, actually, probably like 4 or 5 hours. Is Jacksonville is pretty much the first big city you get into if you're coming southbound 95 out of Georgia, as they rode through those S turns there. He's able to open it back up a little bit over Paul Hill. But watch when you get into this braking zone, this 90-degree hairpin turn, as Dave pointed out earlier. This is one of the places you got to be careful, and if you're going to be under attack, now is the time to do it. However, the 85 just able to roll the center there. Paul Hill wasn't able to pull the trigger, but Dave, that's a spot you have to watch for on the racetrack, especially late for the dive bomb when you're going for that checkered flag.
Yeah, and I mean, Paul Hill new to this league this year, so this is his first go-around here with these drivers at this track, all in one. And I mean, realistically, this is the kind of night where maybe it's good that the points leader's out of the way, because Paul Hill currently sits 13th in points. He would be in the playoffs if they started today, but he's 19 points behind 6th position and 235 points away from the lead. So it's going to be a long uphill battle, if you will. See what I did there? That's called marketing. But and stay tuned for more corny things, because we've got a lot of time to fill here tonight. But Paul Hill in this first, let's just say maiden voyage with the SNN series, he's already got 3 top 5s and 5 top 10s. That's pretty good, so as it is. But now when you can take a place like this tonight and run in 6th position just behind Ryan Rose, I mean, you're looking at giving yourself one heck of a chance here to make something of yourself.
By side there once again, he left the door open. The 6 machine being piloted by Hill thought about it, and now we're suddenly, is that a lap car? I'm not sure. Yeah, the 80. Yep, off the pace there just a little bit there, Dave Regal. He made it interesting, is I believe someone is off the grass, or off in the grass, I should say. Mark Johnston there in the 80 machine. Going back to the instant replay here, coming down to that heavy braking zone. All is fine with the world right there. He goes to pick up the loud pedal. Oh, and he gets a double tap. Great situational awareness there by the driver of the 38, Andrew Deemer. That could have been a lot worse than it was, Dave.
The interesting thing is that happened to Johnston in almost the exact same place that Tanner Marty lost it as, and the 54 in exactly the same place. So that's 3 drivers. All of a sudden, that exit of the hairpin turn has become Calamity Corner tonight here at Sonoma. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in and making us a part of your evening here. We know that it's a long night here on the old road course, but at the same time, we're ready to have some fun tonight as we work lap number 9. Stage 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 25, and stage 2 going to end at the end of 55. Drivers having 6 total sets of tires tonight, so that's going to be an interesting move here. A lot of these drivers, Matt, you and I both know personally, and they are basically fuel conservation demons. We're going to see a lot of empty fuel cells when they come into pit road.
Yeah, these guys will take what we sometimes think impossible and make it possible. Talking about the fuel mileage game, entire longevity, some of the best in the business right here in this series. As we continue to focus on this battle between the 6 and the 85, as these two just keep throwing punches at one another. Talking about Ryan Rose and Paul Hill, who's currently, Ryan Rose owns that last spot inside the top 5, Dave. He's in 5th. Paul Hill's in 6th, but he wants that slot inside the top 5 now as we shift a little further back into the pack. Or excuse me, we did there for a moment. Bennett Allen in that 7th place position, hard on the charge here. Going to try to go about it on the outside. That's Now, you want to talk about making a risky move there. Oh, they make contact. They both get a little loose coming off the corner. Someone has to lift there, Dave, and that was Anthony Salvignano in the 90.
You know, here I was giving Bennett the benefit of the doubt tonight and saying, you know, that he doesn't use the chrome horn here on the road courses like he does on the ovals. But there he is, getting it out early here on lap number 10. Amanda Price on the YouTube.com live chat cheering on Sean Rogers in the 44. FGD 5604 is cheering on Tanner Marty and Nolan Hodgson. Diego Rodriguez saying that it's going to be a good race tonight. And, of course, you know, this track is a massive challenge as Nike Air
Oh,
One
my
Gaming.
God.
Oh, wow.
We got a hot dumpster fire as I think there was shots fired with that last incident.
You know what? We're going to go right back to this.
I don't want to assume here, but...
Remember that chrome horn thing I said about earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remember that time? That was a good time.
Yep. That reminds me of the old dump and run from back in the day right there.
Good Lord. Let's watch this from the nose of Savignano, because that was uglier than a $2 date on a Friday night. Oh, wow.
I mean, he absolutely administers a shot. He arca brakes and uses the car in front of him, and then he just decides, I'm not lifted. I'm going to drive straight through you. Already tempers flaring here at Sonoma.
Yeah, that was ugly with a capital ugly, that's for sure. As we work lap number 11, so a tenth of the way through this piece. Neil Pearson, your race leader. He's followed by Matt Long, Andrew Dyson, Nolan Hodgson, and Paul Hill. As Bennett Allen here, side by side with Ken Ron, who started from pit road. He decided he needed the credit for the start for points, but didn't want to get involved in any of the mess. And maybe after seeing some of what just went on between Bennett and the 90 of Anthony Savignano, that might not be a bad decision.
No, certainly not, especially, you know, barely through 10 laps of competition here. I know we're officially working lap 11, but not a bad idea to your point. And he's looking at the front of Sean Rogers of the 44 machine. He already has some damage to the front of that Camaro, so he has made contact with something out there on the racetrack. The front of that car's kicked in pretty good, Dave.
Yeah, we're getting a good look at it here from our drone cam. Credit to our drone pilot for being able to fly backwards as we roll here across the start-finish line. I'm not sure where he got that V, but whoa! There goes Bennett Allen way out of line. Let's just see what happened here.
And he cuts right back onto the... I can't believe that. He went full Baja mode. I mean, those tires in the air, and then he just pops back onto the racing surface like it was nothing.
Oh, he came through here hotter than hot. And he just, you know what? It's almost like he aborted, cut half the track out, and said, I'll just keep going.
That was very impressive driving there. I'm sorry, but if that was me, anyone else, Dave, probably would have ended up on our lid somewhere, but he made it look like he practiced that all week long.
Maybe he did. I know some people do. I mean, a lot of drivers do practice what to do in the event of a crisis. And we saw the rear end of the 15 just come out, and he just, yeah, I think you're right, just Baha'd it through there. Wait. Thank goodness that diffuser not near as important here at a road course.
Yeah, it's got a little diffusing to do, but not like, you know, at a super speedway or a mile-and-a-half racetrack where it's responsible for, you know, generating all that downforce. Continue here to watch the 15 try to work his way back.
Going to quick go to Richard Pruitt as he just seems to have disappeared. Never mind. There he goes. Richard Pruitt. There it is.
There's the contact.
Hey. So the first thing I'm going to say is it looks like he was in the middle of what appeared to be a connection nightmare, as it looked like everybody had disappeared. Nothing else on your screen did except for those drivers, and bad things seem to have happened. Andrew Dyson just laid fast time down here at 1 minute 14.85 seconds.
So the first driver in the 1 minute 14 second bracket. As we go back to the live action here, working a lap 14 out of 110. Obviously, Andrew Dyson was in a very hot and heavy moment out there on the racetrack. As Dave mentioned, we've already had some connection issues. We've had some tempers flaring. Dave, we're not even at lap 15 as here goes Sean Rogers on the attack up the hill.
No, and you see back here Bennett Allen running just behind the 66. That's Chris Custer, who quickly gets out of the way as he is now a lapped car. And Bennett has Bobby Anderson just behind him. And I'll tell you what, Bobby Anderson is one of these drivers that I've really gotten to like over the last several months here in this league. I mean, first of all, incredibly talented driver here out of Mansfield. And, you know, the thing is, I don't think that there's anything about him that I don't like. Bobby Anderson has no wins on the season right now, but he runs 5th in our points. 6 top 5s, 9 top 10s, 453 total points. He's just 23 points behind Patrick Gitter. And Gitter not being here tonight either is a big deal because now that can allow Bobby Anderson, wow, as he dirt tracks it out of turn 3 and coming downhill. Woof. You know, some of these drivers I feel like we should start to see on dirt nights.
You know, that's right the area of that racetrack. You know, we were going through the field or going around the racetrack with the 88 where I was telling you that the car can get light there and kind of sneak and step out on you. That's right in the area I was talking about. But Bobby Anderson, to your point, Dave, he is Mr. Consistency. He might not have won a race yet, which I think he absolutely will. He will do before this season's over without question in my mind. He's always putting himself in the right place at the right time. He's getting the finishes, obviously. He's 5th in points, and he's just been an adjustment or two, you know, from the likes of Patrick Gitter, who is not in the field tonight. Derek Heitman, another driver I don't see in competition as well. So is this the night when Bobby Anderson can punch through, or does maybe someone like Andrew Dyson, who has very limited starts so far this season, go for a one-off win? A lot of new potential here as some of the big names that are in the Stacy Strong Cup Series are not in competition here as we continue to ride on board with that 18 who is currently inside the top 10, up 6 spots from where he started. Gotta love the helmet cam here, Dave. Great shots. You're basically seeing exactly what the driver does as he's looking out the front windshield, going through this hard corner here. You got to be careful you don't give it too much loud pedal. We've already seen guys that just lose it right there. Hard on the throttle coming up through the gearbox. You should touch gear 5 here before you go up the hill, and we do. And then right before you get that car wound out, Dave, you're jumping hard back on the binders and downshifting into this braking zone right here.
Yeah, you know, the helmet cam is so useful, and it's something that at a place like this, we can see which way the driver's eyes are leading. You know, if you're a driver that's in VR, I wonder if a night like tonight becomes a little bit more advantageous for you because you have all of that periphery around you. I know back, and I realize that this sounds really bougie, but I know back when I was a driver and I was only using one monitor, road courses were basically useless for me. When I went to 3 monitors, and there's the bougie statement, that's where all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, there's a whole lot more going on this racetrack than I realized. And, you know, to me, I'm just curious about these guys that are in VR, and I believe, and I'd have to check with him, but I think that's how Bennett Allen races as he runs here in 8th position.
Yeah, I unfortunately cannot comment on the VR. I have not used it, but I know some of these guys swear by it, and other veterans, they claim it makes them sick, and they just they stick to the triple. So I guess it's ultimately preference as Bennett Allen here continues to impress and drive that dark horse on the brink of grip and everything else that you might expect here at Sonoma. Now going on to Chris Custer. Actually, timing and scoring is showing, thank you, I appreciate that, Dave, back in that 25th place position. However, he has been on the move and been hungry early. Up 8 spots, now has broke the top 25. Chris Custer, just as we go to him, broadcaster's curse. He has a little bit of an issue there with the corner, swings it wide, but he is back on the loud pedal as he comes across the start-finish line, Dave.
Yeah, Chris Custer out of Ohio, we've talked about it before. I love the paint scheme. I love the Coca-Cola products. As we take a look here, alongside of Eric Papineau. Now, Papineau here in the 17, another driver who's new to this league this season. And Eric Papineau, at this point, as we pull up that information, out of Williamsburg, Virginia, has really made a name. Whoa!
Oh.
We're going to go right to that here. That looked like it was Chad Sanner. Let's see if
New fast lap of the race while you're queuing that up. Dyson 1:14.77.
And here's Sanner. Sanner just ahead of Savignano. Cuts. Oh! He almost cut the nose off of Savignano, and Savignano just pushed him out of the way.
He almost sawed his nose. He almost gnawed his nose off, huh?
Absolutely. But back to Eric Papineau. Now, Papineau, in his first season here with this league, runs 10th in our points right now. Basically, all of those points that he's amassed came from top 10 finishes. Still no top 5, still no wins. There are a lot of drivers in this league that are in that, top 15 set of drivers with no wins, including Sean Rogers and Nolan Hodgson, who both have 5 top 10s apiece, but still no wins, and they run 2 and 3 right behind Matt DiCiani. So obviously Eric Papineau has figured out that it takes a lot of patience and consistency to do well in this league against some of these drivers, as he currently works lap number 19, running up 4 positions after qualifying 18th, right now in 14th position.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Papineau just doing everything beautifully. I mean, you couldn't script it any better if you ask me, Dave Regal. He's gaining positive positions on the racetrack. He's avoided the calamity as I say that. Oh, my God. I am so sorry, Eric Papineau.
That's twice that we did it to someone.
I was literally saying that he has been perfect as I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry.
Oh my.
I can't even watch that replay. I'm sick to my stomach right now. I hate it when that happens.
That's twice we did. Listen, bud, it's not your fault. I mean, I'm the one who pushes the 1s and 2s and everything in between. It's you that's rambling there, and we just happen to give Eric Papineau the kiss of death. Speaking of which, Ryan Rose went off track just a moment ago. Let's take a look here at the 85 as he comes through again. Obviously, we're getting close to what could be maybe the
oh my,
jeez.
He's gonna 360 and hop the curb, and
that was so cool.
That did look pretty cool.
I mean, we're going back.
That's got to be like a 9.5 out of a 10 on style points.
We're going right back to Ryan Rose here because that was just downright cool. Let's see him come up through here. Oh, wait, I got to change to this one. Here he is, just crossing the start-finish line. He rubs the wall, bounces himself out, thinks he gets the car resettled. Not so fast, my friend, as he just pirouettes. Whoa!
He literally clears the racetrack sideways.
He's got a helmet cam. We're going right to the helmet cam for this one. My God. Where is that cam footage? This is one. I can't stop watching this one. Here we are. Same deal. There's the rub. He gets himself settled. No. Oh, he never had this thing under control. He really cleared the whole racetrack.
He cleared the whole racing surface sideways.
Well, that's one way to try to speed things up, I guess. Doesn't work well, but it's one way to do it.
The only saving grace is there wasn't a car there when he decided to just laterally, clear the racetrack. Absolutely wild. As Dyson yet goes faster again. Dave, he's got your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. A 4:44. That's from 1 minute 14 second, 0.44 second lap time. Andrew Dyson, clearly the fastest man here early. Look at this gaggle of cars here. These guys are fighting hard. Andrew Dyson, I just mentioned him. He's right in this mess. He is in that 3rd place position, and it is getting hot and heavy here at the front for the lead.
Yeah, Dyson out of Melbourne, Victoria. Melbourne, Australia? Huh. That's interesting. But Andrew Dyson here, I mean, if that's going to be my lottery number, just remember that when you play the Pennsylvania lottery, you're helping older Pennsylvanians every day. My goodness. No. Dyson just does not slow down. In fact, he's getting faster on older tires. as we take a quick look here at the pit strategy from everybody else. 20 laps in the books. Nobody has come down pit road in the top 10. We've seen a couple of takers here. Chris Davis, Ryan Rose, of course, Eric Papineau, Diego Rodriguez, and Richard Pruitt all down pit road. But so far, so good for all of these drivers. We can see those little bars moving one step at a time here on lap number 22.
Yeah, on lap number 22. And if you go back to last season when I was doing this race with Tony Trapasso up here in the booth, you know, these cars peaked in speed right around here, lap 22 to 25, before they started to fall off. So perhaps not much change in the tire from last season to where we are currently as we watch Matty Long here, who seems like we always see him in that second place position. How many times have we seen that this season, Dave?
Matt Long, it's almost like he has nestled his way into P2. Now, he did finally pick up a win a couple of weeks ago, thank goodness, because I was starting to feel for him, as it just seemed like every week he got closer and closer and closer and just could not get it done. Last year, actually, Alex Murray won this race back in June when you and Trapasso were here. And actually, I'm just trying to go through here, maybe find some of the interesting information from last year's race. I didn't get a chance to do it earlier today, but let's see here. Only 3 lead changes last year. Alex Murray, let's see, fastest lap he eventually turned was 1 minute 14 seconds, .041.
Yeah, Murray last year was on,
and he turned that on lap number 87. So we ain't seen nothing yet.
No, and Murray last year was on a laser. He was robotic. I mean, Tony and I were just in awe of, you know, what he was able to do with the field. But, you know, funny how times change as he's not even in the lineup here at Sonoma tonight. But Matty Long sure is, and he's been putting on a performance ever since he has stepped foot into this series. Andrew Dyson was able to get by him, so now that 40 moves back up into P2. But remember, he started from the pole, Dave, but he got shuffled back a couple spots, but he is on the prowl and really starting to apply the pressure here to Neil Pearson momentarily.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it during Matt Long's victory there at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I mean, first of all, 600 miles, that is, at Charlotte was a very long night, and we were talking about how many times we had seen Matt Long come in second position at the end of the night, and sure enough, that night he went from being a bridesmaid to the bride as he finally captured the checkered flag back there in the Coke 600. And folks, we do run full-length races, so when we say Coke 600, it's not a simulation. That's the real deal. 400 laps, 600 miles, and Matt Long came out the victor of that piece, as now he trails by just a hair here behind Neil Pearson. My God, let's ride on here with Matt Long. And he can see the back of Andrew Dyson, and he's looking to maybe try to get up here, but at the same time, maybe it's easier just to hang back and not push things as you're only 24 laps in.
Well, you're only going to get views this good right here live on SRM. You can't buy tickets that give you this view, and you're riding on with one of the hard chargers in the series. Matt Long, he almost makes contact there with Andrew Dyson as he tried to get everything he could wrapping the center of that corner. Now that we widen things out, we're going back up the hill, Dave, and Neil Pearson able to he does now 0.4 of a second as we get down to that braking zone. But nonetheless, I mean, great driving here by these drivers. Let's watch him do it again here.
Watching the replay from above, this is Andrew Dyson making the move here on Neil Pearson. As he looks to the inside of Pearson, all of a sudden, Dyson able to make that Calamity Corner work for him in the 40. As he makes the pass, they were still neck and neck coming down the front stretch, but Pearson erring on the side of caution, deciding maybe he should just stay out of the way and let Dyson lead for a little while. Obviously, they're able to keep pace with one another fairly well here as we're only 25 laps in, but all of a sudden, Dyson just, I mean, look, he was our fastest. He's laid the fast time down time and time again, and now just proved that it was his turn to be the Pied Piper of Sonoma.
Yeah, the Pied Piper is checking out. He's almost put a second on Neil Pearson. I can't believe that. But that's what the timing and scoring says. You can see it there on the racetrack as now the 40 comes off the corner, hard back onto the gas pedal as they climb up through the gearbox here as we complete lap 26 now being written in the history books. And that margin is over a second. That 40 car is on a rail, Dave.
Going to Alexander Gangler now here in the 8 machine. Looks like he may have had himself a kerfuffle, if you will, as we're going to look from high above here in the Trisha's Hope number 8 Toyota Camry. I'm guessing that this is going to be here at the hairpin. There it is. He sets himself up wide, almost too wide, as he allowed the battle for the lead to go on by him. And he didn't actually wreck. He just slowed down and let those leaders on by. And the interesting thing that does there as we go back here to live action, 12 drivers on the lead lap right now, and it's getting shorter and shorter as Tanner Marty is literally looking back here out of the 29 at the front nose of Andrew Dyson.
Yeah, the pace is being set right now by the leaders is absolutely blistering. Tanner Marty in that 29, I mean, he's one of the guys that was in contention. You know, he was part of the storyline last year, and yet here he is on the brink of going a lap down, fighting for his life. You know, he is driving that ZL1 Camaro, getting everything he possibly can out of it, praying for a caution, trying to stay ahead of Andrew Dyson in that 40.
Here goes Anthony Savignano biting some of the dry grass here alongside the racetrack. Then, of course, we have Mark Johnston doing the same thing. We're one of the interesting things about calling a race here is that we wind up, going to a lot of replays because of how massive this place is and the fact that, of course, there's, no cautions, which, would absolutely make our night incredibly stupidly long. As we see Mark Johnston going off track, Chris Custer doing the same thing here as we're trying to keep track of everybody. Looks like Custer almost did the exact same thing as Johnston here in the 66 as he comes up the hill. And there he catches just a little bit too much curb, and it shoots him across the racetrack and into the grass.
Yeah, it's so easy to do right there, Dave. If you miss just a little bit, that'll happen almost every time. And that just goes to show you caution out on the racetrack. As we're currently at the end of stage 1. This is currently happening while we're back on the SRM instant replay. But lo and behold, the 29 of Tanner Marty stays on the lead lap as that Porsche now leads the field here, as we should be seeing some drivers come down pit road, and send the house as we wait for Andrew Dyson and company to peel off, and there they go.
Interesting little tidbit, if you will. Whoa, what is that camera angle? Nobody wanted that one. But interesting little tidbit here, of course, at a road course, for some reason, we pit on, basically the left side. So that's going to make things interesting for the pit crews. I know that they have to be, training a lot differently as they come down here toward the end of pit road. Dyson, Pearson, and Long all going to those 1, 2, 3 pit boxes, going to be on their left. So instead of doing right side, they're still going to do right side tires first, but everything here is a little backwards. As Rogers, Dyson, Pearson all in. Rogers opting to stay out. And I'm curious.
We've seen a little bit of this strategery today in real life. And, if there's someone that's going to have an alternate strategy, a plan B, a plan C, it's Sean Rogers right here. And, Dave, let's bring him up here in the booth. We think we got him with us, bud. Sean, Matt, and Dave up in the booth. You got us, bud.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good, man. Well, let me ask you, a little strategery here from you early, I see. What's the plan? Can you fill us in?
Yeah, I never intended from the beginning to pit at the beginning of the stage. I kind of have my laps picked out ahead of time, so it looks like I'm the only one on the strategy, though, which I'm a little surprised by.
Yeah, we thought you were going to pull down pit road with everyone else, but, I kind of alluded to, you always have a game plan. Lap 28, how far do you think you can go on this tank of fuel?
Well, I'm killing the engine and kind of coasting as much as I can on these caution laps here. I can get about halfway through the next stage. Go in, get some tires, fuel this thing up, and then I just got one more stop sometime sometime in the middle of that final stage. So that's been the plan all along. So following the plan I set, picked out ahead of time, and yeah, like I said, I'm just a little surprised that nobody else is doing it.
Well, hey, sometimes it's surprises throughout the course of the race can ultimately lead you to victory lane. I'm not going to ask you to give away any more of your secrets here live on the air, but good luck to you the rest of the afternoon. We'll cut you back to your team. Dave Regal, back to you.
Thank you for that, Matt, as always. And real quick, we're going to check in here with Bennett Allen, driver of the number 15. Hey, Bennett, it's Dave. You got me.
Dave.
Bennett, why don't you take us through here with the there I was trying to give you credit saying that at a place like this we weren't going to see the chrome horn come out, and it looked like you and Savignano wanted to dance a little. What was going on with you and Savignano early on in this going?
I'm just going to say what I want to say. He can't drive worth a lick, and definitely at a road course, and I was trying to race him as clean as I could, and I just don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know. Like, I was trying to pass him, and he would weave in the corner, and he would just do all these things. And so I finally get by him. We're going in, I think it's technically 4, because it's 3, or maybe 7. And I don't know what he's doing. He just sent me through the corner. And I'm trying to concentrate getting around the racetrack, too, so I'm sorry if I'm stuttering.
Buddy, it's fine. We're the ones interrupting you.
And so he just sent me through the corner, so I had no intentions of turning him, like none. And I just, I was trying to pinch him down a little bit, and I think there was a little bit of net code. I just watched the replay. So I'm a little frustrated right now just because I've been kind of getting ran off the racetrack. I've gotten in the Gangler twice because he's just parking it in the middle of the corner, and I'm trying to get around him, and he's not giving me room, even though he's like 3 laps down. So I'm a little frustrated. I know there's a stage ahead, so I'll just try to keep all 4 tires on the ground and see where I end up at the end of this thing.
All right, Bennett, well, listen, we're going green flag racing, so good luck the rest of the way. Of course, we understand that Bennett is frustrated as always. I hate to cut him early, but needless to say, Sean Rogers, Amanda Price's boyfriend, getting ready to rock and roll here as he comes back toward the start-finish line. Matt Metler, here we go, stage number 2.
Stage number 2, green flag in the air, and it's Sean Rogers on 27-lap-old tires versus the entire field, and just like that, Dyson slices by the 44 of Rogers, and he has fallen back, unfortunately, quick, fast, and in a hurry. I thought for certain, that Rogers would have an advantage here early, as it usually took these tires a little bit longer to build some grip in them, but apparently that is not the case because, Dyson, Neil Pearson, and Hodgson have literally just checked out from the 44, and he is hemorrhaging positions as we speak, unfortunately, Dave Regal.
So the other day I was watching the 1989 Daytona 500, and first of all, those were the days when the men were men and the goats were scared. I can tell you that much. But I was watching the way that those cars traveled on their suspensions, and even on a super speedway where your car is generally trying to be squatted down, those guys were bouncing all over the racetrack. And I'm watching it again here as we take each of these curbs. Dyson and Pearson here moving through now back into the front stretch. Watch these cars as we can see all of that weight transfer and these cars hopping their way through this racetrack. That if you're in a full motion rig, or even if you have a butt kicker, that thing is going to be beating the bejesus out of your kidneys for 110 laps.
It absolutely will, but hey, as sim racing, keeps pushing boundaries and keeps getting closer and closer to real life, hey, that's what we want. That's what we set ourselves up for. But you're right. Your body is going to take a beating, especially when you're running as hard, as drivers like, Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Bobby Anderson. Wow, what a corner there by Dyson. Did you see that, Dave? That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Dyson has absolutely put everything to shame. He's definitely living up to the name of the vacuum cleaners. He is just sucking up all of the asphalt underneath this Chevrolet Camaro. And I'll tell you what, the Exodus Racing Machine right now gapping everybody. Fastest time, excuse me about that. Had a little manwich for dinner. as 14.44 seconds fast time around this track.
1:13.86 for Andrew Dyson.
Just as I said fastest time, he decided to make me look like a clown and go even faster.
As he's found the warp drive in the 40 machine, it almost looked like he drifted. I forget what corner it was. I was so blown away by it in real time. But he is checked out to over 2 seconds now on Neil Pearson as we go back to the 88 of Michael Witt. Now Sean Rogers. Oh, we got problems there on the racetrack during the camera cycle. Someone went for a walk in the woods, but Sean Rogers has seemed to have stopped the bleeding and has settled there in that 6th place position, Dave.
Yeah, Kavaja Holt having some trouble here. Of course, I was letting the cameras kind of do themselves what they wanted to do. Let's take a look here at the 00 of Kavaja Holt as he rides here in a 12th position and dirt tracks his way, speak of the devil, and he holds on to it, my God. But
Impressive.
He steps out of line and, takes out a couple of cones while he's on his way as he comes back onto the track. Now check this out. Just a moment later, we're going to see the same thing all over again. Keith Long doing the same thing. Drivers having a lot of trouble right now trying to keep things under control as we go to Keith Long here in the 71. Keith Long working just behind the 84, and my God. Woof. Lock him up, get your hands off the wheel, and pray.
You know, that brown grass or dust, that's like basically ice up there in the Northeast. Once those cars hit it, game over. All grip is gone, and you're virtually hanging on for the ride.
Yeah, these drivers working lap number 33 on the lead lap have their hands full. I mean, Chad Sander here in the 94 holding on to the last spot here on the lead lap. And, I mean, he's got a pretty good distance between himself and Dyson as we work our way toward that lap number 55. 22 to go here in stage 2. I got to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to see the caution flag fly for the end of the stage. Usually on road courses we don't see that in this league, but today a little bit different, which gave everybody a chance to catch their breath, drivers and broadcasters included, as we see Andrew Dyson just absolutely picking him up and laying him down. Paul Hill here in the 6, all over the backside of Nolan Hodgson, looking to make a mess here as all of a sudden Paul Hill trying to get a little bit closer to Hodgson, not able to do so, while Gangler just shows up as crashed again.
That's as Paul Hill is looking to slay that dark horse in front of him as we're going to widen things out. Go back to the SRM instant replay high above Sonoma Raceway. And right there, you can see that car just steps out. He's going to lock it down, slides out of the racing groove. Great situational awareness there by all the drivers. Puts it in gear and is able to carry on. We got other problems.
Just as we come back to Paul Hill that we were just talking about, as he was trying to give the business to the rear of the 12, Paul Hill gets alongside of him, and this happens at a place like Sonoma. You get yourself out of rhythm trying to make a pass, and all of a sudden bad things happen. Then he gets onto that painted surface, and, wow! Look at the 54 going out of his way to get out of the way of the 6. We talk about, the painted surfaces are slick, and I'm sure that you've experienced it on the racetrack yourself. But those painted surfaces are slicker than slick. Plus, then you're going to increase the heat, which makes the oil in those paints come up. And getting down there, I mean, even standing in a pair of sneakers at Miami last year on the paint was slick. Andrew Dyson, our race leader here on lap number 35. He's had control of the field for quite a while, Matt, as he's about 3.8 seconds ahead of Neil Pearson. Closest battle right now is Matt Long, once again battling it out with Sean Rogers, and I feel like we say that all season long at so many different tracks, and once again, here are these drivers that just seem to be attracted by a magnet.
Yeah, and you're looking at two of them right now. Matt Long there in that 5th place position. You know, the Atlanta, Georgia native hot ATL, well, hey, he's keeping right up with the name, is he's putting the 44 right in the hornet's nest, inside the fire, if you will. Let's see if he tries to get him here in the corner. Ooh, Sean Rogers, a little bit of tire smoke there. He locks it up. That allows Matty Long to close back to the bumper, but not going to pull the trigger that time by, as Sean Rogers now climbs back up the leaderboard as these tires perhaps start to stabilize a little bit, and he is suddenly back in that 4th place position. As we look out back of Sean Rogers, you can see the front of that dark horse being piloted by Matty Long. Should the 44 make one slip, the 97 will be there to capitalize, Dave.
And that's something that we've seen all year long already from Matt Long, speaking of which, as the Ignite Wireless Ford Mustang, that dark horse chasing down the Camaro piloted by Sean Rogers. I mean, he's looking to the inside of Rogers at almost every turn entrance. And unlike some of the other drivers that we've seen on the track tonight, he's able to hold it together pretty well. And here, even on lap 36, now 20 to go in stage 2, I mean, all of a sudden, Matt Long, we have battles all over the racetrack. And believe me, as a broadcaster, as a viewer, as a fan, that's exciting, because there's nothing more boring than just seeing that Andrew Dyson's 14 seconds ahead of everybody else and lapping the field. While, wow, here we go side by side into the, oh my, right into the hairpin. And all of a sudden, Matt Long steals away 4th position from Sean Rogers.
You know what? Sean Rogers is a class act right there. He didn't try to come back down and Dorm squeeze him. You know what? He realized he had the position. He gave him all kinds of room. You know, just tip of the hat to Sean Rogers. He is just a class act. He's very respectful and tactful out there on the racetrack, and you've seen that right there. Is now they're going at it all over again. If you go back to this SRM instant replay, watch how he outbrakes him here into the corner. Hard out of the braking zone. He's going to make that car rip. The 44 realizes, hey, look, he's got the corner. He's got the line. I'm going to give him plenty of room. And they both come out the other side alive. And that's one of the things I don't think Sean Rogers gets enough credit for, Dave.
No, I think that's something that a lot of these drivers don't get enough credit for, even as Paul Hill just gets passed by Michael Caffrey in the 54, and Caffrey just blew his doors right off. A lot of these drivers are making some really smart decisions on the racetrack tonight. You know, they're picking their spots. It's almost like, you know, what they talk about in relationships. You got to pick and choose your battles, and these drivers are doing a heck of a job doing it tonight. As we come down, we see, you know, I never noticed that ad there just before the... Oh!
Hello!
The 6 just... Wow!
He got boshed.
Woof. Let's see if we can, if our drone operator was awake at that moment. Let's take a peek here. Here they come into the hairpin as they come away from the wall. The 54 just gets himself, the 54 started to rotate, and the 6 didn't check up and just drove right through Michael Caffrey.
Yeah, he literally slayed him.
I see what you did there.
Oh, hey, we got to have fun every once in a while, right? But I don't think that was intentional. That was just a byproduct of that quarter.
You know, what I was about to say, though, is that I had not seen that Dodge Charger ad that's hanging there just before the entrance. In fact, there it is again on the top of your screen. We're going to see it again right there. That
the
is
first
an old
generation?
Yeah, that is an old-style Dodge Charger ad.
So that is the Gen 1 Charger, which I was working for Dodge at that point in time, which came back in 2004. So obviously this track scan has been around for a while. As we now watch the 09 ride, Timothy Cook just outside the top 15. He's in 17th place position, Dave, but he has been busy. He is up 15 spots right now, I believe, biggest mover of the race. No, excuse me. Logan in the 84 is up 21 spots. He's the biggest mover, but nonetheless, there he is right there. This man has got that silver bullet going places.
He sure does. It definitely looks like the old Sterling Marlin days where that thing seemed unstoppable when you put Coors Light down the side. I certainly wouldn't put Coors Light in my mouth. That's a given. That is nothing but headache beer.
It's not
cold
so bad.
Cold lager, they can cold pour it.
If you get it to the point, Dave, where it's almost at the point where it freezes, it goes down so good.
I'm sure it does, but there's another word that I've used for years when it's Coors Light that I can't say on the air. It's one of those words that you can't say.
I understand. I get it.
It's one of those things where Coors Light was everywhere, and now they finally faded away for the most part.
But that's what I like about them, because they're not like mainstream everywhere anymore. You want to know when something's good, when it's not on everyone's TikTok, X, Twitter account, Facebook, and yet people still enjoy it. That's how you know when something's still good. Forget trendy. Modern marketing drives me nuts. As Sean Rogers now comes into his pits, gets it in the box beautifully. You see him going to work. Jack going, the pit crew going to work there. Jack going up. 4 tires going on this race car. 2 cans of Sunoco Racing Fuel going to be going in this thing. And you heard Sean Rogers tell us in that interview he thought he could get in the area maybe lap 40, if I was deciphering what he was saying correctly, and he's off, coming back up to speed, working lap 40. Now this is going to be interesting when this group has to come down pit road and cycle again. That should give Rogers the lead back, Dave.
It should. As I look here at Sean Rogers, he came down here on 39. Everybody else ahead of him has not come down to pit at all since 27. Now, the interesting thing that I'm thinking about is he's going to have to do this again. I guess maybe he was hoping that by this point in the race, maybe he would be in that P10 neighborhood where at least to some degree he would get, a bonus point or a stage point, as we're calling it now, at the end of the stage. But unfortunately, now he's on the outside looking in as Kenron gets out of the way of Andrew Dyson, who is laying firebrands down the asphalt. Speaking of old brands, so let's just say, for argument's sake, that you're right about the old brands, that they're still good, it's just that they aren't advertised as heavy. Being from New York, how familiar you are with the Genesee beer?
Genesee Brewing Company, they even have a cream ale, Dave.
Do they really?
Yes, they do. It's in a green can.
Huh. Interesting. I remember for years at our local fire company social hall that we had a Genesee light hanging above. It was a rotating clock / light. And that was what, I don't know why it was there, because we didn't sell it at the time, but nobody could bring themselves to throw it away. Go figure. But now all of a sudden, actually, when I went to Syracuse last year for something completely different, past the Genesee Brewing Company, and I just thought, interesting.
It's definitely one of those beers that's an acquired taste, but those who love it, I mean, that's all they will drink. You dare not put another mainstream beer around them, or you will be called out, and we'll just leave it at that. As Dyson continues to absolutely perform like he's from another planet, as he is the only driver in the 1 minute and 14 second category. Everyone else is in the 1 minute and 16 second range. And while Andrew Dyson is out there slicing up the competition, we're going to step aside, pay some bills, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the remaining coverage right here on SRM.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
get caught defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
So hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. During the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that. So the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway in beautiful Napa Valley, California. Andrew Dyson, your race leader right now here in the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. And Matt, so far we have seen some incredible racing. Andrew Dyson, though, has been all but unstoppable once he hit that lead. I mean, it took him a little while to get around Hodgson and Pearson, but now Dyson all by his lonesome. There's a lot of sons up here. Anderson, Hodgson, Pearson, Dyson. My God.
Well, I want to know what they're putting in the water in the dirty South Camp, because this Exodus racing scheme on this race car has been, I don't have the words to describe it. It's like this man has 1,000 horsepower with a Nissan GTR drivetrain underneath that ZL1 body. I mean, this guy's out there running a second a lap, if not more, faster than the competition. I mean, just watching the way this car rotates through these corners, the way he's able to jump on the binders, everything that he's doing right now, it's jaw-dropping as we go on board with him. It's unexplainable at times just how good he is here. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah, he's not even coming off of the throttle all the way, coming through the S's. And as we see him getting ready to come down, wow. I don't know who that was just coming off. That would have been Michael Caffrey in the 54, perhaps. But right now, Andrew Dyson is just on a rail, and it's incredible to watch as we work lap number 50 here now, 51 at the line. So just about halfway through this piece here on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank everybody for tuning in on the YouTube.com live chat. Eric Papineau saying that he clipped the curb wrong. Amanda Price still cheering on Sean Rogers. And Evelina Howard cheering on Chris Custer. In fact, let's go to Custer here in the 66. Now, he's running right now in 17th position. And, you know, all things considered, that's not a good day for many of these drivers. But for Custer out of Ohio, still not a bad day for him as Evelina cheers him on. And Chris Custer, we're going to take the opportunity now, since we've got plenty of time to do it, running in our point standings. As I pull these up over here, my goodness. There. This is saying this is his first. Oh, there it is. Right now running in 28th position, just moved up from 29th. He's currently 385 points out of the lead, but, you know, at this stage in any season, there's still plenty of time to get rocking and rolling, try to make up some of that distance. I mean, right now, we still don't go to the playoffs until September 8th. And, I mean, we're here in race number 21. There's still 10 to go before we get into the playoffs.
I mean, a lot happens in one lap, let alone at 100% race distance. There's a plenty of time on the board for drivers like the 66 of Chris Custer or someone just up the road from him. Rich Jet, Godzilla, in that 15th place position, who's up 13 spots. We almost had a meeting of the minds right behind the 66 there as we now kind of forward to Godzilla. There he is from Schwegsville, Pennsylvania. Is that correct, Dave?
You bet your boots it is. He's only about a 25, 35-minute ride from me, depending on traffic. As we take a look here at Rich Jet, as I'm looking for him in our point standings, of course, this is hard to do at speed, but Rich Jet right now 26th in points, and he's got one top 10 to his credit this year. And in all, I'm sorry. No, I lie. I'm wrong. It only happens every once in a while. One top 5, 3 top 10s.
And he could have had a couple more top 10s as he was just blanked late in a couple of these races. But nonetheless, I'll tell you what, the Pennsylvania clan is strong here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Every time I turn around, I find out there's someone from your neck of the woods or your home state. Is Rich Jet runs solidly in that 15th place position, up 13 spots from where he started. And you know what? Before you know it, there's a good chance you'll see Rich Jet knocking on the back door of the top 10 before this thing is all said and done, like we've come to know him to do.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to get there, but right now the 10th position is a lap down that currently held by Chad Sanner. 9th goes to Sean Rogers as he's quietly working his way through the field. Now, Sean Rogers, of course, came in for pit service on lap number 39, which means that he would be able to stay out. Actually, where Sean Rogers, check this little strategery out that you were talking about earlier. Now, Sean Rogers is listed right now as 9th position, first car a lap down, which would make him the lucky dog when the caution flag flies at the end of lap 55. If he can hold on to that, he could easily come in with the rest of the leaders. He'll get those 2 stage points that he would be awarded for finishing in 9th, come back on the lead lap on the same pit cycle as the leaders, and all of a sudden we could see Sean Rogers up here contending for the lead at the end of this piece.
Hey, I mean, we've seen this today. Strategy came into a critical part of this race, and Sean said at the interview he has a plan. He's going to stick to it. He's not going to move from it unless he absolutely has to. But wouldn't that be absolutely, especially if you're Amanda cheering him on in the chat here, what you would want to see from a fan's perspective, and obviously for that driver, once we make another lap here and get to that second stage caution.
Yeah, speaking of other folks cheering on their favorite drivers in the YouTube.com live chat, Nolan Hodgson out of Lamar's, Iowa, always cheered on by his mom, Callie H., who, of course, is with us every week. Now, Nolan, still no wins on the season, but 5 top 5s, 12 top 10s. He's just 15 points out of the points lead. And again, we talked about this earlier. Nolan Hodgson, if he finishes strong tonight, and right now he's poised to do so running here on what would be the podium, he's only 15 points away from Matt DiCiani, and DiCiani's not on the track. So there's a reasonable way that tonight Nolan Hodgson can come out of this race with the points lead.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I mean, this kid, keeps getting better, and better, and you can see it in the finishes, in his performance. I mean, he's right here. He's running 3rd right now, as you mentioned, Dave, in a podium position. And who's he going up against? The best in the series. I mean, Andrew Dyson, this man was a huge threat last year. I remember him at this racetrack. Neil Pearson, he's one of the guys we always talk about. Matty Long, he's won a race. A lot of second place finishes. Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, you were talking about him at the top of the broadcast. And nonetheless, there he is, driver of the 12 in that 3rd place position. I mean, he just keeps getting better, and better. And I think before this season is over, we will see him contending with some of these other drivers from Conti, Team Conti Racing, Team Conti Performance. As we go back to the point, is Andrew Dyson just continues to pummel the competition.
And Andrew Dyson right now already has 1 win on the season. He's got 1 top 5, 1 top 10. He runs 47th in points right now. Obviously, that's not going to be for long if he continues, this this kind of pattern, if you will. Andrew Dyson picked up his win, as I go to pull that information up here, back at Richmond in March. So the end of March, now here we are in June. And obviously Andrew Dyson out of Melbourne, Australia, now running in the lead with a commanding 13-second lead over Neil Pearson. So this would notch his second win on the season. The interesting thing is he would have to move up, into the top 30 to be eligible for the playoffs when we get to that point of the season. But right now, here on lap number 56, we're waiting for Sander to come across the start-finish line. That's going to happen in about a lap. Sean Rogers still holding on to the lucky dog spot. So if we can see that caution flag fly here at the conclusion of stage number 2, we're going to see Sean Rogers come back to the lead lap and be able to get on that lead lap pit strategy.
And that'll put 9 cars on that lead lap. And that's just, you want to talk about pace. There's no other way to say it. That's just how quick the pace is here at Sonoma as Dyson continues to lead over Pearson, Hodgson, Long, and Hill. That's the top 5. And Dave, it is crazy to look at that scoring pilot and see drivers like, and he's just got his lap back, Dave, as that should be here at the line. We should see the caution flag.
I thought we were going to see the caution flag fly. It hasn't flown just yet for some reason. Sean Rogers just got his lap back the old-fashioned way. Chad Sanner would be your lucky dog this time by. And for some reason, race control threw the flag at the end of the first stage. There it is. Chad Sanner going to be your lucky dog. Sean Rogers back on the lead lap. My God, what humanity.
All is right with the world again. And I think for the delay, they may have been waiting for the 10th place driver to cross the line to throw the caution flag. And given the fact that, well, he was more than a lap down, it may have delayed the caution from coming out. But nonetheless, 2 stages in the books, Dave. Sean Rogers back on the lead lap. But does anyone have anything for Dyson in stage 3?
The only thing I have for Andrew Dyson in stage 3 is an interview microphone. That's about it.
That's it.
Andrew Dyson has just been incredible to watch tonight as we see him come here in the gyro cam across the start-finish line. They've got to pick up the pace car, and that's not an easy thing to do on a race course like this. We talk about it all the time. Hey, guys, pick up the pace. Right now, they're hunting for the pace car.
Yeah, and when you're hunting for the pace car, luckily they're catching at a point in the racetrack where they can see it as they're going uphill. But sometimes you catch that pace car blind, and if you got all the competition stacked on top of you and everyone's jamming on the binders, sometimes that doesn't end so well, Dave.
Without a doubt, stage points going to be awarded to Andrew Dyson. He'll get 10. 9 points go to Neil Pearson. I feel like this is Hogwarts. 9 points to Gryffindor. Nolan Hodgson, Matt Kalong, Paul Hill, Bobby Anderson, Tanner Marty, Michael Witt, Sean Rogers, and Chad Sanner all going to be awarded stage points here at the end of stage number 2. Now we've got that long run here to the end. Now it's going to be shortened up by caution laps, of course, but by the same token, it's not going to be an easy third stage here by any stretch. Under green, we've seen Andrew Dyson put everybody except for Sean Rogers down a lap here. So I'm curious how many cars, what do you think the over-under should be? How many cars are going to be on the lead lap at the end of this race here?
If this thing runs green, looking at the lap times, given how many cars or how many laps that we're going to have left, I'm going to say 3 or 4 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, I would put the over-under right at 5.5. Because it could go either way in the blink of an eye. Now, lead lap car is going to get an opportunity to come down pit road this time by Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Nolan Hodgson, as we're going to ride along here with Nolan Hodgson out of Lamar's, Iowa, as he's going to come down pit road just behind Neil Pearson. They've all got a long way to go here, but Nolan Hodgson qualified in 5th position, which means he's going to get a chance to stop just a few moments earlier than Dyson and Pearson.
Yeah, in fact, he's pulling off into his pit box right now, hard on the binders. We look out the nose cam, waiting on the jack. The jack goes up those Goodyears. are going to come off. New set of Dr. Feelgood's going to go on that race car. And then the same on the left side of the race car. Remember, as Dave said earlier, we're pitting this backwards. So that's a big test for these teams as they only do that for... Did his car just shut off? What just happened?
I don't know. What do you want me to do? Call him? He's in Iowa. He's not there.
He's gone.
I feel like this is the end of that.
Go ahead.
I feel like this is the end of that movie Hook. Captain Hook's gone. He's just gone.
I mean, we couldn't have scripted that any better, being on board and then Houdini, and he's gone.
I mean, maybe he had to pee. Let's hope that he had to pee and that he can shake fast.
Perhaps bad weather in Iowa? Storms? I don't know. I'm just as perplexed as you are, Dave.
I mean, he's going to get a nice handful of stage points at the end of this piece, but I can't imagine that it's anything except that he had to pee. Let's hope that we can go here to the youtube.com live chat and get some information from Callie H. Hey, Callie, we need your help. I mean,
Nolan Hodgson is not the guy that's just going to bail out a race for no reason. I mean, he will finish that thing if he's got bear bond all over that race car. If it rolls, he's going to finish it.
I'm still waiting for him. Here he is. He's back in the car. So Nolan Hodgson now coming out of the pits in P7 after having what I thought was a great pit stop. I mean, he could have come out P2. Now runs back in 7th. That gives 3rd position over to Matt Long. Tanner Marty coming in pit road now. Michael Witt in 5th. Bobby Anderson in 6th. We're waiting for everybody to get shuffled around here so we can rack them, stack them, and do this all over again. But Nolan Hodgson right now, kind of the story of Stage 2 where he just gave up 3rd position. I hope he's got a plan to get back up there.
Hey, it's Hodgson. If there's a will, there's a way. That dark horse in him will become one, and they will put in the work to get there. But perhaps, like you said, he just had to go to the room of the rest, perhaps.
Well, since the Phillies and the Mets were in London today, perhaps it was the loo.
The loo.
Always been fascinated with European bathrooms.
I thought that's where you're going with
here's the thing. Look, I had the opportunity when I was in high school to go to Europe with a band trip because I was a band geek once upon a time. Go figure. But
did you play the trumpet?
No, I played the trombone. Thank you.
Okay, close enough.
Either way, it was a brass instrument, and I tooted my horn. So, but we get to Italy. I mean, we landed in Switzerland. We had gone through France. We went to Italy. And we get to the hotel bathroom, and there's no toilet paper. There are towels.
Oh.
Do you know what's next to me? First of all, I was 16 and thought that I was cool because I smoked cigarettes. Not that anybody should do that. I'm not endorsing that. But I thought that it was great that there was an ashtray in the bathroom so you could poop and smoke at the same time. What I didn't understand was where the toilet paper was. There was a bidet next to me on the floor.
Yeah, it's liquid toilet papers. Green flag back in the air, Dave.
Green flag back in the air. Andrew Dyson takes off like a shot out of a cannon. My God. Neil Pearson just looked at him and blinked, and all of a sudden Andrew Dyson was 0.3 of a second in front of him. To make an incredibly long story short, there are these towels there next to the bidet. Here, that was to dry yourself off after you were done blowing away your poop. And it was at that point I had become fascinated with European bathroom technique.
Well, my first duty station was in Okinawa, Japan. That was my first taste overseas, and you like to play there. Anyways, long story short, I didn't have the ashtray, but I had a similar experience. I'll never forget my first time myself, Dave, is Dyson right back at it, shot out of a cannon, cleared Pearson, and he is driving the bejesus out of that ZL1 Camaro, trying to keep pace with that 40.
And he's not going to get it done right here. The 40 is absolute. It's almost like he practiced. First of all, I'm not saying that he's a ringer, but let's just whisper that he might be a ringer. First of all, you come from Australia. It's kind of like, the Australian version of Boris Said, who, by the way, ran yesterday in the Xfinity Series for Hendrick. But, Dyson obviously grew up probably watching road courses more than he watched oval racing. I'd be curious to know what NASCAR's presence down under is.
I'm not sure, but he...
Go ahead.
No, I was not to cut you off there. I was saying I'm not sure, but he's probably the right person to ask. And given that this new car is, very similar to the Australian V8 supercars, that they do a lot of road racing with, maybe it's no surprise that Dyson is out there just, you know what and you know what. Just saying.
I do know what, that's for sure. As we work our way down here into the hairpin, these drivers just have not been able to be slowed down. I mean, they're not screwing around. We see them coming through the hairpin. Here goes Dyson back up toward the front chute. He's got Neil Pearson closely behind as we work lap number 63 of 110. So we're just about at that 50 to go mark. And look at this.
Oh, my God.
Dyson with a 113.08.
He was at the high end of the 113 second bracket, and just as Neil Pearson got there, he almost just completely skipped into the 112s. As Dave said, a 113.08, and I don't think it stops there. I think he has more fuel to throw on the fire if he needs it, Dave.
I don't even think he needs to do it. I think he just wants to at this point. Look here on the left-hand side of your screen here at home, folks. 1 minute 13.08 for Dyson. Find somebody even remotely close. Pearson, still 0.8 of a second. By the way, to those of us that are civilians, that's nearly a full second at 0.8. Behind here, I mean, nobody else is even touching the 113s.
No, you literally have Neil Pearson, and those two are in a league of their own.
Ah, that's a good movie. I was just talking about it earlier.
That was with Madonna, wasn't it?
What's that?
Was it Madonna in that movie?
She was. Okay, and so was Rosie before she got scary.
Oh, that Rosie.
That Rosie.
that signature laughing voice.
Do you know who? Oh my God. Do you know who Mike Francesa is?
Sadly, I do not.
Okay. I want you to look up Mike Francesa. He's a sports talk show host for like the last 50 years up in New York. But I want you, he's on WFAN up there. He was a host with Mike and the Mad Dog before Chris Russo decided to get paid by ESPN.
Now, Mike and the Mad Dog, I know who that is.
Okay, so that's who Mike is as part of Mike and the Mad Dog. Mike Francesa is Mike of Mike and the Mad Dog fame. Look up a picture of Mike Francesa, put it next to a current picture of Rosie O'Donnell, and I think it's Rosie O'Donnell with a shirt and tie. It's scary.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll get that queued up on the mobile here while we're continuing to watch.
While my esteemed partner goes to humor me a little bit, Andrew Dyson still with a commanding lead, 0.6 of a second over Neil Pearson. We're going to start to be able to watch some of this here on the battle box, as we can see a lot of this time just kind of ebbing and flowing. I mean, Pearson slowly but surely falling back once again. I mean, all of a sudden he goes from 0.6 to now 0.8 of a second. Let's take a look here at the time delta between those two. All of a sudden, I'm sorry, not that one. There it is. Dyson lays fast time down. Pearson is 0.8 of a second behind him. Now Pearson slowly but surely being slightly faster by 100th of a second than Dyson. We're going to watch this here at the very bottom because I think the time and the skill that Pearson, he's used these first two stages to kind of warm himself up, and now we might start to see him really click off some times as he chases down Andrew Dyson.
That's exactly it. Neil Pearson is not going to, lay his hand out there. He's a veteran race car driver. He knows when to turn it on, and he's not going to show, everyone else he's racing just how fast he can go, until it's late in the game. And I agree with what you're saying there, Dave. I don't think Pearson is running the fastest he can right now. But and that goes for Matty Long too. How many times have we seen him, so good at finishing, all those second place finishes? But while that's going on, there's one thing for certain, and that is Andrew Dyson in the 40 car continues to pull the way slowly but surely as that lead now approaches 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, we had a couple of laps where Pearson was running slightly faster than Dyson, and it's almost like he went right back to his old habits and now goes down about 0.2 of a second slower than Dyson. It's just, I'm at a point where I'm almost out of things to say because Dyson has just been up here basically showing us why he belongs in the race lead. I want to take a look back here at Chad Sanner, though, out of Smithfield, Pennsylvania, another one of our Pennsylvania contingent, if you will. As we pull up some of Chad's information, now he's been in this league for literally years. In fact, I think Chad was here before I was, and I came on toward the beginning of the 2021 season as a driver. Now, Chad Sanner has always been one of those battling drivers. We don't see him, slide back or do anything stupid on the racetrack, that's for sure, usually making smart decisions as far as being a driver goes. Sanner runs 15th in points right now. He's just slid down into 15th, coming out of 14th. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 7 points away from 14th position. Now, 14th position in our point standing, since we've got the time to talk about it tonight, belongs to Chris Claude. Fun fact, Claude is on vacation this week, not the week to go away when you're in a points battle.
I'm actually shocked he went on vacation, as serious as he takes this. But hey, everyone needs some R&R. Hopefully he is having a good time.
I can only imagine, and I love Chris Claude to death. He has become somebody that, we've ridden through some really, at least in my life, some really tough stuff. And Chris has been there with me through it. And, I can only imagine that his wife said, "You're leaving? We're going? Pack your things? Let's go."
He got direct orders. He got voluntold. He was
voluntold, yes. He said, but can we just leave after Sunday night?
But, can't say enough good things about him and how hard he works throughout the week to put all these series on. But, like I said, everyone, even the great Chris Claude, needs a break. But to your point, those points are going to continue to change, and that could come up and bite you, especially every time we get down to the cutoff. We transition to the playoffs. How many times have we seen a driver on the outside looking in due to one single point, Dave?
Oh, yeah, and believe me, that will make Chris Claude frustrated as all get out. Now, of course, as we had mentioned, I mean, we've got plenty of time left, 10 races to go before the playoffs start in September. So we still have plenty of time left in the regular season for him to make up this one missed race. But the interesting thing to me is that, and I mean, you've done this for long enough, 35 drivers took the green flag tonight. That's almost, and I mean, a couple of them, don't get me wrong, Samuelson, Deemer, and Herring basically start and parked, but which gets them that 1 point. But, how many times have you seen 35 drivers in a league go to a road course? I'll wait.
You got me there,
Dave. The answer is like frickin' none.
You got me there, bud.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, how many times I've called a race. In fact, I remember doing it for the Way She Goes Racing League probably 2 years ago. When I was still a young fella here at Sim Racing Media, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to call everything and anything on a racetrack, and we started the race with 6 cars. We had 2 cars on the lead lap at the end, and it was like 94 laps at Coda. I think it was
that had
Coda.
To be extremely painful.
I was, they were concerned for my health at the end.
It's funny how times change. As now 6 cars on the racetrack, that might not even warrant a broadcast, depending on what network you're working with, this, that, or the other. Because obviously we're all about making sure the presentation is as professional in real life, but it's hard to do that with only 6 drivers on the racetrack.
I was so new at the time that I didn't realize that I should have said something before the green flag. One of our, at that time, it was James Riles, had poked his head in, as well as John, had poked his head into the YouTube feed, and they saw what I was doing, and they were like, "Why did we even start this?" Because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. From that point on, it's been like, "Hey, I'm not sticking around for this." Because I mean, don't get me wrong, the people that sponsor these leagues and pay for these leagues to be on our airwaves, that's their hard-earned money that they're bringing to the table.
Right.
You don't want to see them wasted on 6 drivers and 3 viewers.
Exactly, and that's the point I was trying to get to a little bit earlier, but I've made that mistake too. You know, hey, my job is to hit the button, let's go live, and let's call the racing action we're seeing, and then here come the HMFICs. Matt, what are you doing? I'm doing what I thought I was supposed to do, to your point, Dave. And I sit back and I laugh at those things now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned Okinawa, Japan a moment ago. Refused B says that he is stationed in Okinawa. He or she, I'm not sure what we got going on there, just because I can't see the profile picture. But Refused B says that they're stationed in Okinawa, Japan right now. So isn't that a small world?
Small world. So I was on Camp Foster, which is on the towards the southern side of the island, southern point of the island. And then I used to do runs up to Kin Red and Kin Blue, which is up in Nago, the most northern point. It is so beautiful up there. They had some really nice exotic, like honeymoon type, getaways, very secluded. No, not exotic dancers. There's a time and place for that, though, but it wasn't there.
As Matt digs a hole for himself, I hope your girl's not standing nearby.
Oh, right by me.
Ah, great. Sorry. Hope you enjoy the couch.
It's common.
That's the story of my life. By the way, have you had a chance yet to take a look there at the similarities between Rosie O'Donnell and Mike Francesa?
Will I have to comment?
It's creepy, isn't it?
It's scary. I about dropped my phone.
It's just creepy. I mean,
the last time you put me on an assignment like that during a broadcast, I almost choked and died. So I made sure I was sitting down. I wasn't drinking anything. And then I proceeded to look at the content.
It wasn't even dirty content. It's never dirty. It's just, what in the world is this kind of stuff? You know, it's interesting. I grew up in a firehouse in Reading, Pennsylvania. My dad, 47-year veteran of the fire service, before he hung up his helmet. But the firehouse that he ran out of at 3rd and Court Street in Reading, PA, had a refrigerator, of course, in the day room and in the kitchen. And it, I believe, is the origin of memes. They would take newspaper clippings for, politicians that they hated in the city, or stupid news stories that they found, and would paste other words over top of them, essentially creating memes, and it was on the front of the refrigerator. And I remember being just a young lad, sitting there thinking, who's this person and who's that person? As I grew up, I thought, oh my God, now it's funny. And there I'd be walking down the street just chuckling to myself. Somebody would say, what? And I'd be like, well, I finally got a joke from like 15 years ago.
I've done the same thing, buddy.
I remember sitting as an adult when I joined the department and thinking, oh, that's why that's funny now.
It's like you're just walking along and all of a sudden it hits you and that light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, that's what that meant all those years ago.
I'll tell you what, some of the best times of my life were sitting around the kitchen table in that firehouse when I was a kid. I mean, first of all, to be a fireman, you have to be just this side of nuts as far as, sanity goes. In fact, we're missing my favorite fireman, Randall Watkins, tonight, Mr. 305. I'm not sure where he is. I'll have to check in with him later.
Oh,
wow.
Put you off there.
Talk about keeping it just this side of legal. Rich Jet, the double natural, almost took out our leader by accident.
That's what I was alluding to. Godzilla almost struck.
Every time I think of the word Godzilla, all I can think of is that sequence from Austin Powers. Look, it's Godzilla! It only looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
I'm dead right now.
Would you like some shiitake mushrooms?
I need a moment.
Andrew Dyson with our race lead as my partner has to gather himself back up. I've done it again by accident. Usually, at least for some of my partners, I keep something in the chamber ready to fire at any time, but it's to the point now here at Sim Racing Media, folks, where my partners are being warned before, especially if you're new, my partners are being warned about getting into the booth with me. Oh, there goes the 77 across the racetrack.
This is 100% fact.
My partners have actually been warned because I misbehave here in the broadcast booth, apparently. And the best part is, there's a radio station that's more than willing to pay me for shtick. It almost feels like thievery. Andrew Dyson with control of the field. He got around Rich Jett, who shot himself across the field. As now Dyson, he is playing dangerously close to those tires here in the hairpin as we work lap number 74 of 110. Neil Pearson just behind as he looks on. We'll go on board with Pearson as we ride along here for a lap. We go up the hill. He gets himself almost, let's just say a little less than a tenth of a second. I'm sorry, a little less than a full second behind Dyson. But Dyson is just able to run away from him on what seems like every straightaway. I mean, it seems like Pearson has him on entry, but then Dyson has him on exit. Neil Pearson here out of Perth, Australia. Of course, another one of the Dirty South Racing drivers chasing down teammate Andrew Dyson. As we look from above, we saw the blimp from just a moment ago. As now we get to look down at the distance between Dyson and Pearson. From the driver's perspective, it looks really close, but from up here in the booth and in the blimp, it is definitely a lot of distance between Dyson and Pearson. As we go on back here and let iRacing make the decision and see where iRacing wants to go. Matt Long out of Atlanta, Georgia. We haven't talked about him lately. Running in P3. Nolan Hodgson on the recovery drive after what I assume to be a bathroom break at the end of stage 2. Now back into 4th position, chasing down Matt Long. Bobby Anderson running in 7th position right now, just ahead of Paul Hill in the Dent Slayer Ford Mustang. Chasing now, Anderson down. Timothy Cook running in 12th position right now. And Timothy Cook, another new driver here in this series as we pull up his information out of Del Rio. I'm pretty sure he's not out of Jack Del Rio. That would be awful weird. As we take a look here at Timothy Cook's information, first season here running 42nd in points right now. Nothing doing as far as top 5s or top 10s, but he's been making himself known. I know that I've called the number and the name several times this season. He's just all of a sudden tonight getting himself up here into 12th position, which could be good for his point standings, especially with so many key drivers being out tonight. Apparently Matt Mettler stepping aside for just a moment to take care of some business, or bidness as we call him here in South Philadelphia. Speaking of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Phillies splitting the International Series with the New York Mets. I'd like to say muck the Fets. Thank you very much, Frank Marchese. As, of course, Frank, a very dedicated Mets fan, I, a very dedicated Phillies fan, and Frank in San Diego, I in Philadelphia. And quite frankly, today was a day where I remembered that the Phillies are not impervious and they're certainly not bulletproof, as they fell to one of the worst teams in baseball, at least my opinion. The Allen Experience checking in to say you're welcome. Of course, Allen is who warns all of my partners for what may or may not happen here in the broadcast booth. But we like to keep it light. We like to keep it professional at the same time, and we want to thank all of you for tuning in week after week here, because without you folks at home, we wouldn't have anything to talk about or anyone to talk with, that's for sure. Even as we work lap number 77 here, the double natural on the racetrack, Timothy Cook here in the 09, just ahead of the 94. That's Chad Sanner. And Sanner holding on right now to 9th position as he gets around Timothy Cook. And, I mean, Cook doesn't have a real reason to fight him off, as Rich Jet just got tagged for going off track. Let's see what happened here to the Godzilla machine. We were talking about it before I sent Matt Metler off into stitches.
Literally.
And he just bounced through there. Oh!
Pops right back on down the sausage patty and like it never happened.
Sausage patty. Oh, here comes the 17 just rocketing on past, too, at the same time. Rich Jet had his hands full back here. Welcome back.
Thank you, partner. I about choked and died over here.
Listen, I can't afford to lose another partner to death, okay?
It's okay. We're good.
People are going to stop working with me if I kill someone.
I smell a conspiracy.
I wanted to be number one, and I had to knock him out of the way.
You should say those types of things live on air. You should. Jay.
I'm looking at his bear right here next to me, and I'm thinking about him, and he would absolutely be on point with this one.
Tony would be, in all seriousness, absolutely 100%. You know, another person that got off track there was the 74 as well. He went for a little bit of a ride off course. And, of course, from Beast Mode Performance, Chris Davis there in that 13th place position, having a good run, up 14 spots from where he started, just outside of the top 10. Davis just overcooks it in that downhill section. I'm telling you, Dave, that part of that sweeping S turn, I know it's long and it's pretty straight, but there's a little bit of an elevation change there, and if you're not ready for it, the back of the car will skate right out on you, and that's exactly what happened to Davis there.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is Davis and John Wilco did almost the same thing at the same time. And how many times does that happen to you as a driver, where you're following somebody, they make a mistake, and because you're so focused on that rear bumper, this is how this happens. You're so focused on the rear bumper of the driver in front of you that you make that mistake, and all of a sudden, you're doing the exact same thing. It's almost like, following the leader.
Especially if I'm at a racetrack where I know I'm horrible and I'm trying to get better, and if I know that person in front of me or I think they're really good, I'll do exactly what you said. It's like a laser, and you're just trying to stay perfectly in line with that rear bumper, and if they go up there and tag the well, you go right along with them and do the same thing.
Not that I wasn't paying attention to what you were saying, but I just squeezed him, and he can't get through his entire call to green.
Well, I can tell you one thing. While you were working on getting through your call to green there, Dyson literally was just jumping curbs. It made it look easy.
I mean, he makes all of this look easy right now. I am so jealous of him as a former driver, and this is one of the racetracks that would have caused me to be like, oh, gee, Chris, I'm not going to make the race Sunday night. I have to go to surgery. Surgery, that's what it is.
That's the best you can come up with.
Yeah, Dr. Longfinger, the proctologist, and I have an appointment.
Dr. Long, hello.
Yeah, Dr. Drew Patrick Drawers, Dr. Drew P. Drawers. It's part of that practice. Dr. Benjamin Dover out of Delaware.
That's almost as good as Seymour Johnson.
No, that's the urologist.
That's the urologist, but that's what I'm getting at.
Well, I was on the I was at the back door.
Tyson just did it again.
I don't get this guy. He is just that good. And look, he's trying to put Sean
Michael Jordan.
He's trying to put Sean Rogers down a lap.
That doesn't happen every day. That doesn't happen every week. Sean Rogers is going to the pits.
Sean Rogers making what we assume to be a scheduled pit stop as he's going to ride on down pit road. Let's go along with him and see what this last pit stop is going to entail for the 44.
The Kalamazoo, Michigan man is on track for his money stop, which is happening now, ladies and gentlemen. If he has his pit box in his sight, he's going to start making or he should. That's right, he qualified up the hill just a little bit better. Here we go. Going to come down, lock it in the box. This is the one that counts, Dave, especially when you have a car out on the racetrack and being driven by Andrew Dyson. Was that a fuel stop only? And it was fuel only for Sean Rogers, and he is gone in a way, coming up to speed.
I'm going to say
that's about as good as it gets there.
I don't know if you've seen the clips on TikTok, but the girl comes on and she goes, "Say the weird thing." People are desperately seeking realness. I'll say the weird thing right now. Sean Rogers is nuts. This man has, and I say that he's nuts because it's almost mad scientist status. All he did was came down, cooled the tires off while he took 2 cans of gas and took off once again. Now, Timothy Cook, we were riding with while you were trying not to die. As we take a peek here, it looks like bad things may have happened here with Cook in the 09. He rubbed that inner wall getting ready to come up, and wow. Oh, Chris Davis with the Code Brown moment of the day. Ken Ron having to avoid. Chris Davis definitely needs to check the fire suit. I hope he brought a spare.
Trust me, Chris Davis has like 4 or 5 because he often finds himself in that predicament more often times than not.
Isn't that interesting? Like, there are some drivers that always find themselves getting that award. It's not even their fault. It's something that happens around them, and they just happen to be nearby.
And it's not like a particular series. Obviously, a lot of these guys racing, one or more series, and because of, having the awesomeness of places like SRM or any of the other networks out there, you get to see these guys compete multiple times a week. And it's not just here that happens to Chris Davis. It literally almost happens to him in every series that he runs. So it's a common occurrence for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's not like he's putting the car into a bad position, as we're going to go to Bobby Anderson. Now, Anderson coming down pit road, running in 6th position right now. Now, he's up 9 positions, so he qualified P15. Let's see where he goes here, and maybe he's going to do the same thing that Sean just did in the 44, as Anderson brings the M&M's machine to a stop. I don't see the right side up yet. He's going to come in for fuel only as well.
More power to you, Bobby Anderson.
Maybe it's me. Maybe, you know what? It's kind of like if you're in a marching band and everybody else looks like they're out of step except for you, it must be you. It's got to be me.
You.
Well, folks, here we are, 84 laps in the books in the Stacy Strong Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, making us a part of your evening. Dave Regal and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We're going to step aside and then bring you the finale of today's race when we come back after these messages right here on Sim Racing Media.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic, real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
So hi, my name's Christy. I am a wife, a mother of 3 children. I am a sister and an aunt of lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm also a substitute teacher. So my everyday life changed by going to appointments, a lot of appointments, a lot of scans. As like during the treatment, my body just got weaker, so I wasn't as active with my children and with my husband. So I was laying on the couch a lot more. I'm an active person, and so that just didn't sit well with me, but that's how it changed. My body was just weaker, and I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So there was a lady in where I live from a local church who had heard that I had breast cancer, and she sent me a letter just reaching out for support, and she actually said that she's the one that told me about Trisha's Hope and that I should contact them, so I did. So specifically, I wasn't able to really work during my treatment or anything like that, so the grant that I was able to get helped me pay my bills, provide gas money. I was driving to and from treatments, and so it helped a lot with bills and everything. I would just say I am so grateful for Trisha's Hope and for all the people that have donated, because I don't know what I would have done without them.
Back to the Sonoma Valley, the wine country of the West Coast, right here live on SRM. Currently enjoying the Stacy Strong Cup Series is myself, Matt Metler, along with me on the call, Dave Regal. Continue to watch Andrew Dyson lay the smackdown on the field. And I know I'm using some WWE lingo here, Dave. I just don't know what other words to describe what Andrew Dyson has done here tonight in prime time.
Yeah, the only thing, and we were just talking about it off air, the only thing that can stop a Dyson is a clogged filter. And right now, this Dyson is running like he's got a full throat full of air as he runs here in P1. He has had control of this field since being the pole sitter, followed by Neil Pearson and Matt Long in 2 and 3. Now, Neil Pearson, we've talked about him before tonight here in the 58, but only briefly. Let's take a look here at some of Pearson's stats as I pull that up here. Out of Perth in Australia, another one of the Australians in our contingency here tonight. He's already got a couple of wins on the season. 4 of them to be specific, then 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s. Neil Pearson currently running 9th in our points. And as I look there, I mean, 9th in points you would think is nice and safe, but I mean, there's a lot of drivers who have missed tonight's race. Of course, some of them we've already noted. And Neil Pearson looks now to just try to climb his way up further in the point standings. And again, the biggest name missing from tonight would be Matt DeCiani. In fact, out of the top 10, as I'm looking through here, Heitman's missing, so that's going to be a problem. Patrick Gitter missing. That's another issue there. So 2 of them out of the top 10 already missing from tonight's race.
Well, I guess if you're Patrick Gitter, I mean, you win, you take a week off, and then you come back and win again. So
I mean, that seems to be his pattern.
That seems to be his pattern. I mean, I'm just jealous because, we got problems on the racetrack. Was that the 54?
That's the 94.
Thank you. The 94 there almost had a woulda, coulda, shoulda moment, and that was a huge save for Chad Sanner in that 10th place position.
Chad Sanner, one of those drivers that he's hard to stop out here on the racetrack. And I'll tell you what, we've seen a lot tonight of some of these drivers that we're used to seeing, try to put the work in, and just like that guy from the 600-pound life, you got to do the work. These drivers up here in the top 4 have all done the work. I mean, we saw fuel only for Dyson, Pearson, Long, and Hodgson. My question is, because of how long it takes to put 2 cans of fuel in these cars, was it even worth it just getting fuel? I mean, obviously, Dyson, now laying 1 minute, 14-second laps, down all but a full second and then some from his fastest lap of 1:13.08. maybe he could have gone with the fresh tires.
You know, you would think that's the case, but then again, I mean, these drivers clearly, they log a lot more laps than you and I do, Dave. They work with these setup partners. They're house drivers. I mean, these guys, they know what they can get out of their race car and the Goodyear Eagles on it. So, if I have a jaw-dropping moment like we've seen on pit road, as you mentioned, like Dyson, Pearson, Long, just throwing fuel in it and going, to me, that would never work. That would be a recipe for disaster. But for these guys, hey, it's just another, it's another day in the park. As, you mentioned, he's off a little bit from his fastest lap time. But, as I mentioned to you off air, I really believe Dyson is only running as hard as he has to. I don't think he's going all out. I just think he's out there managing the gap right now, keeping a comfortable margin over Pearson and company. And in fact, Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, and Matt Long, I mean, they're running in the same spots where they started. In fact, Nolan Hodgson, who's climbed all the way back up to fourth, there's only a one position change there. So virtually the top three, top four, and Matt Long is down pit road just as I'm talking about him. As he go on board onto the nose camera, 16 laps to go. Let's see if his follows suit. He comes to a stop in the box. Do we see the jack go up? Dave, no jack action. Another fuel-only stop for the Atlanta, Georgia native, and he is off and underway.
Well, the interesting thing here, Nolan Hodgson now doing the same thing in the 12. Originally, I thought, okay, Matt Long is playing this smart. He's coming in for a splash of fuel that'll keep him in front of Nolan Hodgson. But now Hodgson, who qualified in 5th position, also coming down pit road. This is suddenly starting to look pretty hairy as he's about 1:10 back. Nolan Hodgson is going to lose a lap here. No, wait, Pearson coming in as well. Dyson may have to. It looks like at least our top four are all coming in for a splash of fuel here toward the end of this race. Andrew Dyson working his way around. Hodgson getting a splash of fuel. He's going to go down a lap as we ride along with Andrew Dyson. Matt Long now, you're basically all of the... wow, here comes Pearson.
This is getting interesting. Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I'm not even sure what to make of this, as Matt Long is 45 seconds behind Andrew Dyson. I have to imagine that Dyson didn't take enough fuel either?
Or is that why we see him backing down the lap times? I mean, the fact that virtually his only competition has came down pit road, he can really, dial back the heat. Is he looking to stretch this too? I mean, only time will tell, but I did not see this coming, Dave Regal.
No, and I'll tell you what, Matt, as we work here on lap number 96 with 15 to go, I'm starting to get more and more concerned about what's going on with Andrew Dyson. He's been out since lap number 58. Pearson and Long each came down, as well as Nolan Hodgson. Hodgson gave up a lap, to come down pit road. And Andrew Dyson is just out here driving around like it's a Sunday evening here in the West Coast. My God.
Dyson got off track a little bit there. Just a little bit, but, that's the first somewhat of a miscue we've seen from the 40 all race long.
He sits 35 seconds ahead of Neil Pearson, so he could basically park, maybe take a sip of water, perhaps try to make a phone call, send a text to see what dinner's going to be tonight. Wow, look at him banging the car down on the racetrack. All of a sudden, he has picked up the pace again. I think you're right. I think he's doing everything he has to do just to keep that distance between himself and Pearson. And once he sees Pearson getting, under a certain amount of time, that's when he's, picking up the pace just a little bit.
Yeah, that's when he hits the go-go juice or hits the go-go, baby. Talking about, oh my gosh, now I'm having a massive brain fart. The movie with Nicolas Cage, Gone in 60 Seconds, Eleanor, the button in that car. That's what I was referring to there, as he is now suddenly back in the 113 second bracket land again.
There's, We talked about it jokingly, but maybe there is something illegal about this Chevrolet.
I mean, it's up in the air. He's on 2 wheels. He is slamming this thing into the concrete. He is being mean to this race car, and it is not skipping a beat.
No, I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, to your point, now he went from 1:15 down to 1:13.67. His fast time is 1:13.08. He's been out since lap number 58. That means that, let's just pull that number up here, 39 laps on those tires, as his nearest competition has, 2, 3, and 4 laps on those tires. 13 to go, and he's still not indicating that he's going to come down pit road. It's almost like he realizes that in his mind, if he comes down pit road, he will give away the lead to Neil Pearson, because it's going to take longer than 36 seconds to get service, whether it's fuel or tires.
Right, or even if it's just a splash and go. Now, here's the interesting here, Dave. The access road to pit road, that's not where the timing starts. So that's not where the pit road speed starts. It actually doesn't happen until before you actually get into pit lane. So even taking that into the equation, though, the pit delta here, he would still, you're right, potentially lose a position there to Pearson. So basically, Dyson's in this to win it right now, or does he run out of fuel and come up short?
I've got to be curious. Wow. He just took out a chunk of concrete. I mean, I just saw legitimate shrapnel. Let's ride along here on the nose and see if we might be able to figure out what he's doing.
Coming down pit road. And look at him hauling the mail. I mean, he is ripping. There's the commitment line. Don't get caught speeding.
All right,
now let's monitor the interval.
We're going to ride along with Neil Pearson, as Pearson now knows that Dyson is on pit road. Dyson has that long drive to box 1. Pearson knows that Dyson is on pit road. Oh, the drama. Here's Pearson coming down toward the hairpin. Dyson still not able to get to his pit box. There he is. He's going to take literally just a splash of fuel. Pearson passing the entrance to pit road, coming into the hairpin.
Dyson rolling.
Dyson rolls. Pearson full speed ahead, but Dyson able to retain the lead as he comes up the hill and into turn 1. My God, that was the closest that we've seen all night to Andrew Dyson losing the lead.
I'm sorry, but that is just that is ludicrous.
Ludicrous speed. Go!
That is absolutely insane.
He's gone to plaid. Oh,
I can't
God.
think of a time I've ever seen anything like this.
Never. This dude just went out here and showed us all his behind.
This is some type of performance.
This is the best race of the season, and I usually hate road courses.
I know you're not a road course guy, but I mean, this one here, how could you not be a fan of this? I mean, how about Nolan Hodgson? I mean, he stepped out of the car, went and made a phone call, got a loaded waffle, hops back in, falls all the way back to 7th, 8th position, and yet here he is back and forth.
Digs his way into 4th position, does Lamar's Iowa native Nolan Hodgson. Matt Long running in P3. I mean, and the crazy thing is, Matt Long, thanks to that pit stop, all of a sudden we've got, let's just call it a close battle for the lead. He's 21 seconds out.
And that's a close battle.
That's a close battle. Pearson was just 35 seconds back.
He's in the next county.
I mean, he very might well be. I mean, he just drove past Paul Hill here in the 6 as they come down here toward the curb. And even as they come down here, there goes the 66 of Chris Custer. I mean, these drivers haven't given anything up yet. 10 laps to go here at Sonoma Raceway. Dave Riegel and Matt Metler with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. And we are just as shocked as you folks are to know that the 1, 2, 3 positions all qualified that way. Nolan Hodgson gave up a lap, got it back, runs in 4th position, and Andrew Dyson does nothing but suck up more asphalt here at Sonoma.
Yeah, he's literally going out there and just hailing chunks of concrete into the air at times. And the car just does not blink. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't breathe. It continues to be on a rail like the trolley cars up in San Francisco.
I mean, in the words of Robert De Niro in the movie Backdraft, it lives, it breathes, and it hates. It's the animal.
I can't argue with that.
I didn't think I was going to roll that one out tonight.
I didn't either, but it works.
Chris Custer showing up as having crashed. I know you probably aren't a Backdraft guy per se, but
I've seen that movie.
It's a fabulous film, directed by Ron Howard. Chris Custer didn't crash; he just came to a darn near screeching halt.
Well, you seen those tires coming up quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I mean, everything at this racetrack came to me quick, fast, and in a hurry.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I ran a couple races here this week. The best lap I could ever turn was right there where Ron Fitting is. You know, a 1:19.36. That is like the lap of a lifetime for me here. And you look at what Andrew Dyson, these guys in the top 5 are doing. 1:13.08, 1:13.88. I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
Check this out. Andrew Dyson just laid down a 1:15. Oh, never mind. He just went back to 1:13. He laid down a 1:15, and Neil Pearson still fell back by a second and a half.
That's not right.
No,
I'm sorry.
No.
That's wrong.
Then on this one here, I mean, he lays down a 1:13.76, and Pearson is back to 13 seconds. We might see that 35-second mark in the next 8 laps.
We very well could. You know, the next road course they run, they may make Andrew Dyson start a lap down. And he could probably still come back and win.
They could start him a lap down and at the wrong racetrack, and Andrew Dyson would still wind up in the top 5.
I mean, just look at the speed he has as he catches the 17 here. It's like the 17's down 2 cylinders.
Did you say syllables or cylinders? Because
cylinders.
Quite frankly,
both.
I mean, good Lord. I mean, looking back here, and the 17 of Eric Papineau.
Eric Papineau, right.
You know, respectfully got out of the way, and it's almost like he just had to bend the knee and kiss the ring of Andrew Dyson, who has become the Pope of Sonoma. Neil Pearson down on pit road again.
I
don't understand. This does not compute because this is going to give P2 away to Matt Long. Now, he's still got about 30 seconds back to Nolan Hodgson, but I wonder if Neil Pearson got caught speeding and is now serving a penalty.
Well, that would be a little late for serving the penalty, though.
Now you've got 3 laps to do it on iRacing.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Excuse me. Maybe he's serving a penalty. Did he make contact out there on the racetrack? Is something up with the car? Again, not seeing any jack work here.
No, the jack is off. That's for sure.
He is serving a penalty, Dave. You called it.
Yeah, Matt Long now takes over P2. Nolan Hodgson closing fast, but not fast enough as he's 51 seconds, 50, 49. Neil Pearson just sitting idly serving this. He has got to be madder than a hornet right now as he tears off a pit road.
Or as I like to say, than a Keebler elf that got the Mutter Fudgebacker.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know you like that one, buddy.
Andrew, I mean, not being the Fudgebacker, that's a whole other thing anyway. But, I mean, to some, it may be fine. Andrew Dyson leading
Actually, if
this
it's double
race.
stuffed.
That's definitely me, double stuffed.
I like the double stuffed Oreos myself.
Did you see the triple?
They have a triple?
It's called Mega Stuffed Oreos. It's almost too much cream.
I have not seen this.
I never thought that there was such a thing as too much cream. I personally like a big load of cream in those Oreos, but this was almost too much.
Oh, hey, you like a big splash in your coffee in the morning too, probably.
1 lump or 2, dear.
You're a creamy kind of guy. What can I say?
Well, yeah, that's what they call me.
Well,
they call me the big creamer. It's an international delight. Oh my God, that's Andrew Dyson right now, the international delight.
The international sensation.
I mean, realistically, Carnation couldn't have creamer this good right now.
No, no one could.
Not sure where we're going with this, but I feel like
Either
tiptoeing.
am I.
We are getting so close to the edge of the cliff that it's very, very scary.
We're just going to throw it in reverse.
Andrew Dyson, Matt Long, Neil Pearson, Nolan Hodgson. Look at this. Hey, there's a race going on. Nolan Hodgson, though, look, I can't say enough about this young man.
Neither can I.
Look, right now he is on the tailpipe of Neil Pearson. This is probably the closest that we've seen all night. And Nolan Hodgson, after going down a lap, being down in 7th, 8th, and 9th position, has now crawled his way back onto the lead lap. And with 5 laps to go, is about to harass the bejesus out of Neil Pearson, who had to come down and serve a penalty.
Oh, and you know that has rekindled the fire in Hodgson. Seeing that 58 just mere 3 to 4 car lengths in front of him. You know that's going to make him drive just a little bit harder. Look how he sends that dark horse in there right on the curbing. In fact, Dave, I think he is, yes, he is. He is keeping pace with Neil Pearson. As they go up the hill here, Hodgson is not letting him get away.
No, we're going to ride along right here and look from behind as we pull up the lap time delta. And let's drop this out of the way so we can see that beautiful bean footage. Hodgson has consistently been faster than Pearson at this point. And
there he
here
is.
He comes making another grab here.
You know, you keep grabbing one of those times, you're going to be successful. That's how I look at it. Ooh, 58 locks up the front tire. So you can clearly tell that Hodgson has made Pearson uncomfortable. Now he's mirror driving. Now he's prone to make mistakes. You've seen that little slip up there. He locked up the right front tire. Every time Hodgson sees these little things happen, that's just going to make him drive a little bit higher.
Well, you know, and as we look here, I mean, I just saw them edging the grass a little bit as they came down that chute toward the hairpin here. We're going to get a quick statistic here when they cross the start-finish line, Matt, and see which one of these drivers was indeed faster as they come back toward the start-finish line. There it is. Nolan Hodgson, 1/10 of a second faster than Pearson that time by, Matt.
Yeah, I apologize. Folks, a little crack of lightning here. I hit the flux capacitor for a moment, but nonetheless, Dave, like you said, 1/10 quicker. And hey, now that was at a bad spot of the racetrack there. Was that the 66? That was Chris Custer there, slow on the inside as we kind of widen things out. But he, like I was saying before, you know, Nolan Hodgson is making Neil Pearson uncomfortable. He knows he is there. He is closing. He has less than 3 laps to do it. Can Hodgson, you know, dethrone one of the greats, not that he's good himself, but one of the guys that is consistently in the conversation? Can he make that next step? Can he dethrone Neil Pearson and put that 12 inside the podium when all is said and done? That's what I want to see. Can Hodgson pull this off?
I just saw this by complete accident, but look where our race leader is right behind this battle of Pearson and Hodgson.
No.
We might have, as he gets ready to cross the start-finish line, the popsicle sticks go up in the air. We might have just 2 cars left on the lead lap if all things don't break out this way. Here's Pearson and Hodgson fighting one another here for P3, while Dyson is literally right behind as we ride on with him.
If you're Dyson, you don't... Do you try and lap the entire field while those... Yes, Dave says yes.
I'm sorry, was there another option there? Because the only option is yes.
Yes. The only thing I don't like about this from Dyson's standpoint, these two are racing daylights out right now. You don't want to get caught up in someone else's mess and ruin a perfect race. Yes, I mean, who wouldn't want the bragging rights? Yeah, lap the entire field. The last thing you want is to get clips sent, because as perfect as this 40 has been, Dave, we've seen it tonight. It takes one little bump, and everything that was good is now a disaster.
Well, as we come down here into the hairpin, we take a quick look around here as Andrew Dyson out of Melbourne, Australia, gets ready to cross the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go down, the white flag is in the air, and we are racing back to checkers.
Racing back to checkers here for the final time here tonight. It has been a clinical performance here tonight by Dyson, but here is the battle on the racetrack. It's going to be thank you, Dave, the 58 and the 12. The 58 of Pearson has third. Hodgson wants it. Hodgson has been the quicker car, but you can see them doing the hamster dance and everything else coming out of the corner. These guys are giving it 110%, and if that's not enough, you have the leader of the race about 10 to 12 car lengths back. If that's not good enough for you guys at home, is they going to send it down through the winding S's here for the final time? The 12.
This won't be the final time because they're going to come across the line ahead of Dyson. They're going to have to duke this out for a whole nother lap as they're being scored on the lead lap. Andrew Dyson, our race leader, coming down here toward that hairpin turn. We've talked about it all night long. It was Calamity Corner earlier, but not for Andrew Dyson as he has mastered Sonoma Raceway. The checkered flag comes out of the holster. Andrew Dyson with a decisive win here as he heads back toward the start-finish line, capturing the checkered flag. Andrew Dyson wins the Stacy Strong Cup Series event here at Sonoma Raceway. Don't look now, though, but Matt Long, all of a sudden, Neil Pearson got trapped a lap down.
Neil Pearson was sideways in the tires. I didn't want to interrupt you calling Dyson as he was taking the win, but if you go back to the SRM instant replay, Dave, there was contact, I'm pretty sure, and Pearson got poked and he got sent in the tires.
Oh,
there it is.
No. Hodgson just gave him the chrome horn and ran away with third.
What a move.
Oh, no. There are going to be so many hurt feelings.
Oh, I'm glad I don't have to moderate that Discord.
Nope. This is the one where we just hit the hang-up button and run away fast.
But what a performance. I mean, Dave, I'm lost for words. Rarely am I speechless, but what this man just did tonight, I don't think I've ever seen on a road course to this magnitude. I mean, this is absolutely next level.
Andrew Dyson going to do some donuts here for us right in front of the hairpin as he's going to celebrate this win here from literally the other side of the world. Technically tomorrow. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning there. Oh, well, it's about time he rips the front nose clip off. It's fine.
Doesn't
thanks
matter
to the
now.
magic of iRacing, it's already back on.
And as he continues to burn it down, hey, we're even going to go down pit road backwards here. Oh, he took it out of the drag strip. He's got all kinds of trick up his sleeve.
Yeah, why
I
not?
like
It's fine.
He's going to take his show off a little bit. Why not? Inspect the competition. Clearly, he knows a hack or two at this place, Dave.
A little bit. As we get him on down here, now I got to find Nolan Hodgson.
Because we're currently getting the top three queued up here into the 20 Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth for interviews, as we do each and every entering post-race coverage, of course, right here on SRM. Andrew Dyson, Matt, and Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got me, bud.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Andrew Dyson, the slicing was back once again tonight, and that car looked like it was from another planet. How did you put up that type of a pace and dominating performance on such strong competition here tonight, bud?
Gee, man, I think some experience from racing some other leagues here certainly helps. Doing the full length races as well certainly helps. So yeah, all those things come together and help you put together the best race you can.
I mean, you make it sound so simple, but I mean, let's talk about the preparation. You mentioned other races, full length races. I mean, there's a lot of time that you have to put into this, right, to get to, be as good as you are. I mean, just what type of preparation does it take from your perspective to go out there and put on this type of a performance?
Well, sort of once you've raced the car a lot at a lot of different circuits, you can kind of tone down on preparation, really, as far as like amount of laps go in prep. But you still got to get in as much laps as you can to push the limits, find out where you can make mistakes, where you can't make mistakes, where are the risky parts on the circuit, where you kind of need to, I suppose, err on the side of caution, particularly like sort of coming through the chute, like down to the bottom of the track there. Down the hill, you can run wide there and clip that fence pretty easily. There's a couple other spots as well. So you take note of those things and you go out and go as fast as you can whilst keeping those things in mind.
Hey, well said. A great response there, Andrew. Let's talk about, the race out there. It seemed like at times you were just managing the gap per se. It didn't seem like you were running as fast as you could, but you were just trying to manage or keep a safe distance between yourself, Matt Long or Neil Pearson at times. Was that the game plan? Is that what was going on, or were you going as hard as you could all race long?
Yeah, you're spot on. I was sort of, keeping an eye on the relative and seeing how far away Matt was, or if it was Neil, how far away Neil was, and with that in mind as well, sort of keeping an eye on where the traffic was. So to sort of ensure I had a nice gap, I'd sort of put the foot down as much as I could in some spots to have a good gap, and then I'd catch up to some traffic and I'd have a bit of time in hand, sort of thing to work with. So that was sort of the game plan throughout the race there.
I'll tell you what, it was certainly a good strategy vector for you there as you put on a dominating performance. Last question, and I'm going to turn it over to you. The tires tonight, how big of a factor were they? And did they have a lot of fall off over the run, or were they pretty consistent?
Well, when you first come out of the pits and they're sort of the pressures are down and the pressures are up, sorry, and the tire temp's down, they're really fast. So that is when you don't take tires. So I didn't take tires all night. I just sort of managed the surface temperature, I suppose, as much as I could throughout the race, because you could still cook them off if you slid a lot around the circuit or you sort of did big burnouts coming out of the corners. You would definitely notice that over the next few laps that they wouldn't be as nice. So just managed the temps and didn't take tires all night basically, and went with that.
Yeah, Dave and I were actually pretty shocked that, yourself, no one inside the top 3, top 4 of the lead lap took tires the last stop. Our jaws were kind of hanging on the ground. We had to pick them back up, but that's what makes, watching you guys so special. Before we cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on that 40?
I'll just say thanks to all the guys at Dirty South Racing for having me along and let me be part of the team. Thanks everyone at Sunday Night NASCAR, particularly Chris, who let me have a spot in the race tonight, so appreciate that. And I'll make a quick shout out to Ryko as well for the setup. That really helped me out tonight.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Dyson comes back into the Stacy Strong Cup Series, slices up the competition here in wine country. It looked out of this world, like he had literally an all-wheel drive 1,000 horsepower ZL1 Camaro out there at times, as he annihilates the competition, virtually putting almost all the cars a lap down. Only 3 or 4 of them finished on the lead lap. That is the driver of the 40 from Melbourne, Australia, Andrew Dyson. Always a pleasure speaking to you, buddy. Dave Regal, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. As always, a great interview from you. Of course, hang on, because you're going to get Nolan Hodgson as well. But right now, I have the distinct pleasure of once again interviewing our buddy Matt Long from Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Matt, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Matty.
Yo, what up, guys?
Listen, man, you ran a hard race all night long. Qualified P3, obviously here at the very end, a little kerfuffle behind you. But, here you are, P2 on the podium again. Take us through tonight, and how do you wind up here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get better at these road course deals and keep up with my Australian teammates, man. They're so damn fast. And yeah, I felt good. Car felt good. It was pretty fast, just not as fast as them. And I had a nice pit road speeding penalty earlier that we fought back from. And I was just riding, and I race in VR, and I just turned off all the relative and everything. I didn't even realize Neil and Nolan got into something there. So when I finished P2, I thought I was P3, to be honest. So, yeah, that had to have been a boring race to watch. But
no, not really. And here's the thing.
Okay.
Now, you bring up an interesting point. Now, you said that you race in VR. So take us through that. Do you feel like VR gives you more of an edge on a road course because you're able to see more? Or do you think that you'd be better off with triples?
I've actually never raced with triples. I went from a single monitor straight to VR years ago. But yeah, at a place like Coda for sure, with a lot of tight apexes you got to hit, and like the hairpin here and stuff, it definitely helps. Like I can turn my head and see the apex real easily, and I know some guys might struggle with that. So in that regard, it's probably a little bit of an advantage. Everywhere else, anywhere else, it's for me. It's just about the immersion. And I love it. So, yeah, I'll never go back to monitors.
Yeah, it was just something that we were watching tonight, and we were having a discussion at one point about the difference between going from single to triple to VR, or obviously like you went from single to VR. And, you know, I had commented to Metler how much more I felt like I was able to see at a road course when I went to triples. And obviously, to your point, you're able to see things so much clearer. And speaking of seeing things so much clearer, I mean, here in the point standings, things are about to get pretty dicey for a lot of people. I mean, here you are sitting P8 right now, but over the next, with Patrick Gitter and DeCiani out of the way, that might make things different for you, as we've got 10 races to go before the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm glad I had a good run today and got a lot of points. It was unfortunate I couldn't make last week after winning at Charlotte. I was hoping to back that deal up, but yeah, it's unfortunate the Conti guys couldn't be here. It's fun racing them. They're fast, and hopefully they'll be back next week. But I think we're sitting up pretty good for the playoffs. We just keep having good runs like this.
All right, man. Well, listen, before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank, and who helps you get it done on the 97?
First of all, I just want to thank all my teammates, man. These guys are a blast to race with, and they're super quick, and they make me faster. And I want to thank you guys for putting on the show, Chris for running the league, and all the friends and family out there watching.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations here on the 97. You finished P2 tonight. We'll see you next week.
All right, I'll see y'all then.
Well, Matt, one more here. Matt Metler, that is. Come on, I can't get Discord to pull up. There we go. One more here for the night, as Nolan Hodgson going to be with you as we get all of you pulled back up here. Take it away, Matt.
Nolan Hodgson, Matt and Tony. I just said Tony. We're in the Tony Trepasso Memorial booth. Myself and you tell I'm thinking about you and Tony, can't you? Nolan, you got me, bud.
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. You are coming on like a Category 5 hurricane in this season, man. Talk to me about your run tonight. I'm not going to cut you off. Just break it down for me. How were you able to survive all the adversity, go a lap down, take an extended pit stop, and come home with the podium?
Yeah, I mean, really the goal was in entering this race was just be consistent, try to be there at the end, get what I could. I was really putting in a lot of practice through the week, trying to make sure that I could be as fast as possible. Obviously, I was no match for those top two. In the middle of the second stage there, I got, I don't know what you call it, but on that curb coming out at 6, I believe, I got really loose coming off that curb with the diffuser on these cars. It's really unstable on there, and I barely got that concrete wall a little bit on the outside. It gave me wheel damage, so I had to deal with that for the rest of the stage. And then obviously I had to come down pit road. It ends up being around a minute of damage, but I persevered with or without the caution extension. I mean, that's beyond my control. But I went to work in that third stage, tried the best I could to catch everybody. Neil Pearson right there at the end, got into him a little bit. Definitely was not trying to. I don't know if his lockup in the center of the corner gave him a bad corner, but I barely tapped him and it turned him around, and that's never something that I want to do. But really happy with the result. Not really. I don't view myself as super good at road courses, so I put a lot of time and effort into these races. As you can probably tell, I'm cooked right now. I'm tired, but yeah, it was a good result for the 12.
Well, I appreciate you going with the unfiltered, unscripted, just letting you take this whole interview time, man. I feel like you deserved it. And thanks for breaking down that incident there at the end. I know you said you're cooked, man, but that was a lot of fun to watch you go out there and battle. Congratulations on the third place finish. And one final question, or one question, before we cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on Team 12?
Yeah, first of all, just got to thank the sponsors, Zero FG, Grayson Payne Racing, 1-8 Racing Media, the boys at Elite Performance Industries for providing the amazing sets that I run every week. Got to thank the 4Y boys. They're my rock, really. I mean, they got my back and every twist and turn. And that's a really good group of guys there. My parents for allowing me to do this. My grandparents I sometimes watch, and I think that's about it.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. You heard he is exhausted, and you can tell from the performance tonight in this broadcast that this man put heart, sweat, blood, and tears and everything into that performance tonight. He put on one heck of a show from a lap down to 7th place to a 3rd place finish here tonight. That is the driver of the 12, the one and only Nolan Hodson. Dave, back to you, bud.
Yeah, we got a chance to look there at a few different camera angles of that very last move between Hodgson and Pearson, but quite frankly, Hodgson came out as the victor here for P3. Andrew Dyson, though, ran a complete clinic tonight from start to finish of this race. So before we get out of here, we're going to take one final look. Just 3 cars on the lead lap, and they belong to our race winner, Andrew Dyson, and his podium mates, Matt Long and Nolan Hodgson. Neil Pearson comes home in 4th with Tanner Marty in the 29, rounding out the top 5. Sean Rogers, Bobby Anderson, Michael Witt, Paul Hill, and Chad Center all make up the rest of your top 10, with Rich Jett and Chris Davis finishing in 11th and 12th. I feel like I'm saying those names together a lot on the racetrack, and obviously that's a theme here in SNN. Then, of course, 13th and 14th go to Tim Cook and Ken Ron. Keith Long comes home in 15th, with 16th going to Ron Fitting. Chris Custer comes home in 17th with John Wilk out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, coming home in 18th. Eric Papineau and Bennett Allen finish out your top 20.
And I'm going to bring you guys through the rest of the way through the final results here tonight. 21st belongs to the 00 of Kavaja Holt. 22nd, Logan Leesburg in that 84 machine. 23rd, Michael Caffrey, spotting the 54 as usual. 90 machine comes home in the 24th place position. Anthony Salvignano, the driver. And then running out your top 25, Alexander Gangler in the 8. Mark Johnston, 26. Rafael Rodriguez, 26. Coming home, 28. Richard Pruitt, 29th. Ryan Rosen, rounding out the top 30. Cody McCorkle, the 34, Diego Rodriguez, going to come home 31st. 32nd belongs to Michael Smith. 33rd, Ryan Samuelson. 34th, the 38 of Andrew Deemer. And rounding out the 35 cars that took the green flag here tonight, Steve Herring in the 89. Dave.
And what a night it was for all 35 of these drivers. Whether you were first or last, it was an exciting run tonight. And as we had talked about all night long, Andrew Dyson was just the man to beat. And quite frankly, after a win at Richmond, a win tonight, and some other things happening in our point standings, that should punch his ticket to the 2024 playoffs. 10 more weeks before we do that. And of course, every week we're always tuned in and, basically strapped in, waiting to see what happens next, because I'll tell you what, every time I turn around, something else exciting happens in this league. So, folks, make sure to tune in with us every Sunday night here on Sim Racing Media. Next week, we go to Iowa, and we're going to go to the Iowa Speedway for the Corn 350, powered by ethanol. So, want to thank everybody for tuning in, making us a part of your evening, welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. For myself, Dave Regal, and my esteemed broadcast professional partner extraordinaire, Mr. Matt Metler, we want to thank you for tuning in. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.